Chapter 1668. The head was where the nerves in the brain were concentrated. If the meridians were damaged, how could the nerves not be damaged? So Yu Zhentian was shocked when he saw Blue Hair's silly look. Did this guy really become an idiot? No. His chest was injured by Linny earlier. Just now Linny used a rising dragon fist on his cheek. Could it be that this move damaged his head? Yu Coiling Tiger was stunned and asked. Holy Church, that shouldn't be possible. Yu Zhentian looked at the injury on Blue Hair's cheek. It wasn't serious at all. It was just an external injury. Even his bones weren't hurt. This punch could be said to have no killing power at all. What rising dragon fist? It wasn't caused by this move. Yu Zhentian's eyesight was very accurate. He was also an Earth-class master, and one who was proficient in medicine and alchemy. He was even more knowledgeable about external and internal injuries. Lin Yi's punch was really as he said. It didn't have any killing power. Lin Yi was just putting on an act to trick Blue Hair. Both of them were Earth-class early-phase masters, and had Jin Qi to protect their bodies. Normal punches and kicks wouldn't be able to do much damage to them. Alright, master. After that, Lin Yi said something about not being able to escape punishment. He touched Blue Hair's head, and then Blue Hair became like this. Yellow Hair suddenly remembered the situation and quickly said, could it be that he used some special martial technique with that touch? It can destroy the meridians and nerves in the head? Yu Zhentian was stunned. He had never heard of anyone who could use a martial technique with just a touch. And under the situation where there was no damage on the outside, destroying the meridians and nerves in the head. Wasn't this a little too magical? So he said, how is this possible? Blue Hair's head didn't have any external injuries. Could it be the legendary hitting the cow across the mountain? Yu Xiaoxin was also a knowledgeable person. She suddenly thought of a legendary martial technique. Holy Church, hitting the cow across the mountain? Yu Zhentian's expression changed slightly. This was a martial technique of that evil ancient sect, the Everyday and Everyday sect. It was said to be from the legendary Chrysanthemum treasured book, but no one had ever successfully practiced it. Could it be that Lin Yi was from the Everyday and Everyday sect? If that was the case, then there was a huge grudge. Of course, although the Everyday and Everyday sect was an ancient sect, it wasn't much stronger than the Heavenly Elixir sect. In recent years, the Heavenly Elixir sect had developed rapidly, and in front of the Heavenly Elixir sect, the Everyday and Everyday sect had to be courteous. But the key was Lin Yi's identity. Since he knew the technique, he must be a direct disciple who practiced the Chrysanthemum scripture. Would the Heavenly Elixir sect help the Yu family to hide from the core disciple of such a sect? Everyday and the Every sect. The sect. If it was a sect, then what it would be? And the ancient sect 2, and the sect the ancient sect the Lin 1 the ancient sect 112. Everyday and Everyday sect Chrysanthemum treasure book. Yu Xiaoxin nodded and said. Yu Xiaoxin nodded. If that's the case, then Lin Yi's background isn't simple. Yu Zhentian frowned but suddenly said, wait. The disciple from the Everyday and Everyday sect who practiced the Chrysanthemum treasured book also participated in the Ice Palace's trial. He was crippled. This Lin Yi definitely isn't from the Everyday and Everyday sect. Yu Zhentian suddenly thought of the incident that had been spread among the hidden houses. Although the Ice Palace had given a gag order, the disciples of the hidden houses had more or less experienced it themselves. They could hide it from others, but they definitely wouldn't hide it from their own house leader. So this incident still spread out. That's right. I heard he was crippled by a lone cultivator with the surname Ling. Yu Coiling Tiger immediately said, this Lin Yi definitely isn't a disciple from the Everyday and Everyday sect. What kind of existence is the Everyday and Everyday sect? Why would they send a core disciple to celebrate? They have nothing to do with the Hidden Tang family. That's true, the Hidden Tang family has never had any contact with the Everyday and Everyday sect, so it's definitely not their disciple who came to celebrate. Yu Xiaoxin knew a lot, and she was very clear about the relationship network of the Hidden Tang family. Then there's no problem. Yu Zhentian breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he didn't offend the disciples of the ancient sects, it doesn't matter. Moreover, we're the ones at a disadvantage this time, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Also, the Sky Elixir sect's envoy is coming. With the Sky Elixir sect's envoy supporting us, even the Ice Palace master will have to give them some face. The next morning, Mrs. Tang received a bank card with 100 million in it. Then she turned around and went to the villa's sales office to return the villa. According to the agreement, although they would lose some processing fees, it would be easier to get cash this way. This villa was in the best location in the building. The Hidden Tang family had used their connections to get it. The developer wasn't too willing to sell it, but since the hidden Tang family wanted it, they had no choice but to give it to them. Otherwise, the developer would have wanted to keep the villa for himself. And when Mrs. Tang went to return the villa, it was exactly what the boss wanted. Without a second word, she returned the villa, and even waived the processing fees. After all, the boss was also afraid of the hidden Tang family's influence. How could he dare to charge a processing fee when she wanted to return the villa? However, he didn't know Mrs. Tang. When he returned the villa, he still called the hidden Tang family's eldest brother Tang and told him about it. When eldest brother Tang heard that Mother Tang had gone to check out of the house early in the morning, he nearly rolled his eyes in anger. However, he maintained his composure and said, "Got it." Then he hurried over to Grandfather Tang to report. Although he was unhappy, he did not dare to stop Mrs. Tang from checking out. All he could do was discuss with Grandfather Tang. After Elder Tang heard about this, he raised his eyebrows but calmly waved his hands. "Forget it, if it's a refund then so be it." The money was given to the Ice Palace Master's biological mother. Even though the Ice Palace Master might not be interested in it, we've already done her a favor. If anything happens in the future, as long as it doesn't harm the Ice Palace's interests, she will definitely help us. I guess that's the only way. Eldest brother Tang nodded helplessly. Isn't this Ice Palace Master's mother a little too greedy? Is there anything else? Isn't today the birthday banquet? I heard that the Heavenly Elixir sect has also sent an envoy to congratulate us. Aren't you going to make some preparations? Grandfather Tang asked calmly. This 80th birthday was the most glorious birthday that old Master Tang had ever had. Not only was the Ice Palace Master here, even the Heavenly Elixir sect had sent an envoy to congratulate him. Chapter 1669. Chapter 1671. A joyous matter. He was only in Earth class, but because of his alchemist status, he didn't think much of Bing Tang. Plus, the Sky Elixir sect was used to being arrogant. So what if they had Sky class masters? If they wanted pills, wouldn't they have to ask Grandpa for help? What is it? I don't understand. Bing Tang frowned and replied faintly. Haha, it seems that the sect master is forgetful. The young headmaster wants you to be his wife. What do you think? The Sky Elixir sect disciple said straightforwardly, the young headmaster has already convinced the elders. With him personally making the pill, the success rate of the Jade Heart pill will greatly increase. Then, the sect master will be able to get what you want. Wife? You're a concubine, right? Bing Tang humphed coldly and looked at the Sky Elixir sect disciple. Don't even think about it. Even if I become a concubine, I won't go to the Sky Elixir sect. For some reason, Bing Tang suddenly remembered that she wanted to be Lin Yi's concubine. While she was angry, she wasn't disgusted by it. It was completely different from how she felt about the young headmaster of the Sky Elixir sect. Since the sect leader doesn't want to give me face, then I can only reply to the young sect leader this way. However, as for the Ice Heart Jade Bone pill, let me give the sect leader a piece of advice. Without the Sky Elixir sect's help, you're still dreaming. The messenger of the Heavenly Elixir sect was a little annoyed. Before he left, the young sect master told him to try his best to complete the task, but he didn't expect Bing Tang to be so tight-lipped. She didn't have the slightest intention of letting go, so he had no way to persuade her. He had prepared for so long, but before he could do anything he was blocked. How could he not be angry? And so, the Sky Elixir sect's emissary began to hate the sect mistress. Thinking back to what the young sect leader had said, if the sect mistress didn't give him face, then he would use this opportunity to teach her a lesson and let her know that the Sky Elixir sect was no longer the Sky Elixir sect it used to be. They were on the same level as the Ice Palace and the Everyday sect. The sect master frowned. If anyone else dared to talk to her like this, she would have taken their life a long time ago. But this was the envoy from the Sky Elixir sect, and she felt a little helpless. She really couldn't do anything to him. The Sky Elixir sect had been developing rapidly in the past few years, and they had formed alliances with many ancient houses and sections. They were not to be underestimated. Although the Ice Palace was powerful, they couldn't afford to offend the Heavenly Elixir sect at this time. Therefore, the sect master could only wave her hand, and a wave of chi slashed across the face of the Sky Elixir sect's emissary. It was like an invisible slap to the face, and the Sky Elixir sect's emissary's face burned with pain. The sect master couldn't kill him on the spot, but she could punish him. He was just an emissary from the Sky Elixir sect, and not the young sect leader. There was no need for the sect master to give him face. As long as she didn't kill him, the Sky Elixir sect could only take this. And as expected, the Sky Elixir sect's emissary almost fell off the table. Even if the sect master didn't mean to slap him to death, how could an Earth class handle the power of a Sky class? The Sky Elixir sect's emissary's face began to swell up. He glared at the sect master with hatred and anger, but didn't dare do anything. He wasn't an idiot. No one had seen the sect master slap him. She was a Sky class master and he could only take it in silence. But if he stood up to cause trouble for the sect master, then he'd be causing trouble in front of everyone. If he really did get beaten up or even crippled, there'd be no way for him to explain himself. Therefore he could only secretly circulate his true chi to relieve the pain on his face. Then he took out a bottle of pills from his bosom and took one to reduce swelling and pain. Otherwise, if the dignified messenger of the Heavenly Elixir sect were to be slapped in the face by others, they would definitely laugh at him. "Oh," the Sky Elixir sect's emissary took a deep breath, thinking, "Rock Candy, you're good. Just you wait, I won't let you go so easily." The birthday banquet also began at this time. After eldest brother Tang spoke a lot of words of gratitude, he announced the start of the birthday banquet. The guests presented their gifts, which was very similar to the Kong family's birthday banquet. The various relatives of the Tang family sent representatives to send gifts in order. The gifts ranged from antiques to calligraphy and paintings. Of course, the most popular gifts were elixirs and elixirs. In the blink of an eye, it was the Hidden Yu family's turn to send gifts. The Yu family's representative was Yu Coiling Tiger. With Yu Jinqian's status, he naturally couldn't go on stage and present his gifts, so Yu Coiling Tiger did it for him. "Uncle, I represent the Hidden Yu family to congratulate you on your birthday. This is our Hidden Yu family's gift list. 15 Spirit Gathering Pills, 3 Foundation Establishment Pills, 5 Meridian Unblocking Pills, 5 Small Chi Gathering Pills." Yu Coiling Tiger reported the names of a bunch of pills. Of course, some of these pills were refined with the help of the Heavenly Elixir sect. For example, the Small Chi Gathering Pill was a yellow level 2 pill. The Hidden Yu family had a very high failure rate. The Lesser Chi Gathering Pill was a lower level version of the Chi Gathering Pill, but according to what Zhang Liju said, the original Chi Gathering Pill was already a simplified version. It was actually a Lesser Chi Gathering Pill, but the Lesser Chi Gathering Pill he was referring to now was even lower leveled. It only had the effect of increasing Chi, it didn't have the effect of breaking through bottlenecks, and so this thing only increased Chi a little more than the Chi Gathering Pill. But even so, in the Hidden House's level, it was still a precious pill. Good. That's great. Eldest Tang heard the names of the pills and was overjoyed. "Good nephew, wait here for a while, I have a big announcement to make while we're happy." "Yes, uncle." Yu Coiling Tiger seemed to have realized something. A trace of joy flashed through his eyes as he looked towards Tang Yun's table not far away. It was obvious that Aunt's words yesterday had worked, and Uncle's side had made the decision to betroth Tang Yun to him. "Today is my father's 80th birthday, and I have something to celebrate as well. My long-lost daughter has finally been found. My third wife, Xiaoming's daughter, was lost by an unscrupulous servant. It's been so many years and I miss her all the time." Eldest Tang didn't even blush when he lied. Linny really wanted to throw a wine bottle at him, but Eldest Tang continued, "Xiaoming, Tang Yun, come up." Chapter 1670. Although it was more or less to support the Hidden House Yu, and it was also because of the Ice Palace that they sent the messenger. But no matter what, the main character of this banquet was Elder Tang, so he was still very happy. "Is ready?" "Oh right, Xiaoxin told me yesterday that she wanted me to marry her daughter to the Yu family's Yu Panhu. What do you think?" Last night, Yu Xiaoxin said that she wanted to marry Tang Yun to Yu Panhu. Originally, Elder Tang didn't want to acknowledge Tang Yun as his daughter. Even if he did, he couldn't bring her back to the Tang family, mainly because of Yu Xiaoxin. Now that he couldn't rely on the Ice Palace, he had to rely on the Yu family's support to stabilize his position as the head of the hidden Tang family. However, he didn't expect that Yu Xiaoxin would take the initiative to bring this daughter back to the Tang family and marry her to the hidden Yu family's second young master, Yu Panhu. Tang Big Bro was surprised, but he was also secretly calculating in his heart. This deal was quite a good deal after he thought about it. His cheap daughter was directly married to the hidden Yu family's second young master, Yu Panhu. Although he wasn't a direct descendant, this was already very good. Yu Jinqian's son wouldn't marry Tang Yun with an unknown identity. So, Elder Tang only thought for a moment before agreeing. He thought that Xiaoming wouldn't have any objections. She should be very happy to let her daughter return to the Tang family. Tang Yun, a commoner who grew up among the common people, suddenly married the hidden Yu family's second young master. It was like a pheasant becoming a phoenix. She was really lucky. However, this matter didn't count even if Elder Tang agreed. He needed Elder Tang's approval. Although Elder Tang was the head of the family, this kind of big matter still needed Elder Tang's approval. He didn't dare to make the decision on his own. Your daughter? You mean Xiaoming's daughter? Old Master Tang was slightly surprised. Then he asked in astonishment, didn't you always say that you don't want to acknowledge her? You were afraid that Xiaoxin would have objections. Why did Xiaoxin bring this up? I heard that right coiling tiger knew Tang Yun when she was in Songshan City, and he expressed his love for her. So this time he wanted me to marry Tang Yun to his beloved nephew, so he told me. I think this is good for our family, but I still want to ask for your opinion, father. Eldest Tang said. Just like you said, this is a good thing. This way it can be considered that we have found a good husband for Xiaoming, the second young master of the Hidden Yu family. I heard that his alchemy skills aren't bad either. If he has some ability, that child won't be at a disadvantage if she marries him. Elder Tang nodded in agreement. These people took it for granted that Tang Yun would agree, and they didn't even ask for Tang Yun's opinion. As far as they were concerned, Tang Yun was a chicken turning into a phoenix, and they couldn't be happier. From Mrs. Tang's skills, it could be seen that her family's living conditions were just SOSO. Being able to marry into the Hidden Yu family was a great thing. Lin Yi brought Xiao Xiao and Tang Yun to the banquet hall when it was about to start. Lin Yi didn't have a good impression of the Hidden Tang family, so he found a random seat and sat down. Naturally, Elder Tang and Bing Tang hadn't appeared yet. These important guests wouldn't show up until a few minutes before the banquet started. This old Tang really knows how to put on airs. What's he doing? I'm starving to death and he's not going to serve the food. Xiao Xiao said with a bitter face. She didn't have any intention of participating in a celebratory event like this, looking for good food the moment she arrived. Xiao Xiao's words drew the angry glares of a few Tang disciples, but those who knew Xiao Xiao's identity quickly stopped them. That's the Ice Palace Master's junior sister. If you don't want to die, then go. And so the Tang disciples stopped. The Ice Palace Master's junior sister. Wasn't that the future Ice Palace Master? Who would dare mess with someone like that? Sure enough, the birthday banquet was scheduled to start at 9:00 p.m. At 8:50 p.m., Grandfather Tang, surrounded by Eldest Tang, Second Tang and the others, walked up to the main seat. After Grandfather Tang was seated, Eldest Tang walked up to the stage at the front of the banquet hall. Unlike the others, he did not pick up the microphone. Instead, he spoke in a loud and clear voice, "Welcome all guests and members of the Tang family to Father's 80th birthday." Boss Tang was a practitioner, and his voice was loud even without a microphone. The crowd started clapping as soon as he finished speaking. Of course, those clapping were the bootlicking disciples of House Tang. Lin Yi, Xiao Xiao and Tang Yun didn't care at all. Today is Father's 80th birthday. We are fortunate to have several honored guests here, which brings light to our humble home. Next, let us invite the Palace Master of the Ice Palace and the emissary of the Heavenly Elixir School. Eldest brother Tang said as he made an inviting gesture. There was another round of applause. Those who could attend the birthday banquet this time were all close relatives and members of the Hidden Tang family. There was no one like Tang Yun's family. These people relied on Tang family to survive, so the sect leader of the Ice Palace and the Sky Elixir School's representative were here. How honorable was that? These guests also felt very honored. Normally, when the old patriarch of a hidden house celebrated his birthday, even the patriarchs of other hidden houses would be honored, not to mention ancient people coming to congratulate him. But for the Hidden Tang family to do this, it was a huge honor, it was one of a kind. Rock candy floated over, but she didn't go up on stage to say anything. Instead, she sat down beside Elder Tang, while Little Qing brought Xiaoming, Mother Tang and Tang Juqing to sit beside her. The Sky Elixir sect's envoy was a young man in his 30s, with an aquiline nose and sharp eyes. His face was a bit feminine, but he was very arrogant, as if he could sit on the same level as Bing Tang. After coming in, he sat down at the head table. He wasn't the young master of the Sky Elixir sect, but he was still the disciple of the sect's headmaster, and he could be considered the junior brother of the young master. Naturally, he had the right to be arrogant. Plus, he was already a golden level 2 refiner, which was very rare at his age. He didn't use the face-preserving pill, and he really was only in his 30s. He had 2 goals for coming here this time. One was to support the Hidden House Yu, and the other was to send a message to Bing Tang on behalf of the young master, asking her if she still wanted the Ice Heart Jade Bone pill. Chapter 1671. Xiaoming didn't know what to do. She obviously didn't know about this arrangement beforehand, so after listening to Boss Tang's words, she couldn't help but turn to look at Bing Tang. Bing Tang also frowned, thinking that this boss Tang was really good at putting on a show. But at this time she couldn't say anything. It was better to listen to her auntie, so she said, "Auntie, you decide." "I'll go up. After all, it's the old man's big day. It won't be good if I don't go." Xiaoming was a kind person. Although she had already decided to leave the hidden Tang family, on this happy day, she still didn't want the Tang family to lose face. She decided to mention this matter later. Bing Tang didn't say anything. This was her auntie's decision. She couldn't interfere. Xiaoming went up on stage. Tang Yun didn't want to go up at first. She didn't have a good impression of this father who abandoned her. In her heart, she had never acknowledged Boss Tang as her father. Although she recognized Xiaoming as her mother, as a father, she only saw Tang Juqing as her father. At this time Xiaoming went up. Tang Yun was in a difficult position. Her mother had already gone up. If she didn't go, wouldn't it make her mother lose face? She didn't care if Boss Tang lost face or not, but she couldn't let her birth mother down, right? Thinking of this, Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi in a difficult position. She didn't know if she should go up or not. Tang Yun was very nervous and didn't know what to do. "It's okay, I'll go up with you." Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, "Let's use this chance to tell him that you have nothing to do with him. You and your mother, Aunt Xiaoming, are moving back to Songshan. They're hiding in House Tang and we're not worthy of them." This isn't too good. Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's words and couldn't help but be stunned. Saying this on this occasion, wasn't it the same as slapping the hidden Tang family's face? However, Lin Yi didn't say anything and already stood up. Tang Yun had no choice but to follow behind Lin Yi. When everyone saw Lin Yi also stand up and walk towards the stage, they suddenly felt a little strange. They didn't know where he came from. Eldest brother Tang also frowned. He didn't know Lin Yi. This was the first time Lin Yi appeared in the hidden Tang family. However, Boss Tang couldn't reprimand Lin Yi in front of everyone. He could only watch as Lin Yi and Tang Yun walked over together. He could only ignore Lin Yi and wave to Tang Yun. "Tang Yun, my daughter, I finally get to see you. I missed you so much. Fortunately, the heavens have eyes and let me find you." Tang Yun's eyes widened. She didn't think that her father would lie to her face, and so smoothly too. She didn't know what to say. Daughter, today is your grandfather's birthday. However, I still have something important to announce." Eldest brother Tang said, "The hidden Yu family's second son, Yu Coiling Tiger, is a talented man and has reached the age to start a family. It is said that you and he have known each other for a long time. Their relationship is not bad. This time, I will make the decision and betroth you to him." Tang Yun was even more stunned on the spot. Originally, this father who was full of lies already made her at a loss. Suddenly he gave her a marriage betrothal. She didn't know what to say. "Thank you, uncle." However, before Tang Yun could speak, Yu Coiling Tiger took a step forward and stood in front of eldest brother Tang. He cupped his fists and thanked him. We're getting closer now. What's there to thank?" Eldest brother Tang laughed and said. Xiaoming was also a little confused at this moment. What was going on? Eldest brother Tang didn't tell her before. It was normal for them to recognize each other, but she didn't know that Tang Yun was going to be betrothed to the hidden Yu family's Yu Coiling Tiger. "Are the two of you retarded? Who are you to Tang Yun? Betroth her? I think you should betroth yourself to him as a gay friend." Just when Yu Coiling Tiger and eldest brother Tang were in high spirits, a cold voice sounded. Lin Yi pulled Tang Yun's hand and looked at eldest brother Tang as if he was looking at a crazy person. "Kid, who are you? Did you deliberately come to make trouble?" Eldest brother Tang was slightly stunned. Although he felt that Lin Yi suddenly stood up and walked over, he didn't put him in his eyes. But now he absolutely didn't expect that Lin Yi would dare to say such words in public, making eldest brother Tang embarrassed. This time, eldest brother Tang lost a lot of face. The guests in the audience were also in an uproar. They didn't know what happened. "You came to the birthday banquet. By the way, let me tell you, Tang Yun has nothing to do with your hidden Tang family. Don't stick gold on your face. You are not worthy to be Tang Yun's father." Lin Yi said faintly, "Moreover, Aunt Xiaoming will leave with us. From now on, she will have nothing to do with the Tang family." "You." Eldest brother Tang's face turned red from Lin Yi's words. He had never been so embarrassed before. Just now, he was excited to recognize his family, but now, it seemed that they didn't want to recognize him at all. In eldest brother Tang's opinion, if the hidden Tang family recognized him, it would be a glorious thing. Even if Tang Yun's sister was rock candy, she came from a poor family. Looking at Tang Yun's mother's face, he could see how greedy and vain their family was. But what eldest brother Tang didn't expect was that Lin Yi actually interfered. He didn't want Tang Yun to recognize him at all. "Uncle, this kid is the villain who hurt people yesterday. His name is Lin Yi. Not only did he hurt my nephew for no reason, but he also beat the Hidden Yu family's master, Blue Hair, into a vegetable." Although Coiling Tiger Right didn't expect Lin Yi to reject eldest brother Tang's proposal, he wasn't worried at all. If Lin Yi spoke nicely and let Tang Yun beg eldest brother Tang not to grant the marriage, then with Rock Candy's face, eldest brother Tang might not be able to force anything. But Lin Yi directly rejected eldest brother Tang's proposal. This was equivalent to slapping him in the face. Even if Tang Yun had a sister who was the Ice Palace master, Tang Yun was still eldest brother Tang's daughter. How could eldest brother Tang tolerate this? If he did, then the hidden Tang family's face would be completely lost. So Coiling Tiger Right was overjoyed. "Kid, I'll let you be cocky. Aren't you awesome?" Chapter 1672. It could be said that the two sides were evenly matched, but the problem was which side the hidden house Tang would side with. Boss Tang had been forced into a dead end, and he could either compromise with the Ice Palace, or he could rely on the hidden house Yu to get the support of the Sky Elixir sect. Chapter 1673, School Beauty's Personal Expert. "So it's a troublemaker." Boss Tang smiled coldly, pretending that he didn't know who Lin Yi was. "You're not welcome here. I'm talking to Tang Yun about the hidden house Tang's business. You're an outsider, so please don't get involved." Boss Tang saw Coiling Tiger jump out and knew that this wasn't good. He seemed to have seen through Coiling Tiger's thoughts, but he didn't want to offend the sect master that he'd worked so hard to get on his side. All he could do was yell at Lin Yi. "Outsider? You're the outsider, aren't you?" Lin Yi said faintly. "Tang Yun has never acknowledged you as her father. We're here to tell you that we're taking Aunt Ming away, that's all." "Who are you to Tang Yun? Why are you saying this?" Boss Tang suddenly saw Lin Yi holding Tang Yun's hand, and he immediately understood. There must be something going on between the two of them, no wonder he was in such a hurry to get involved. But if Boss Tang remembered correctly, Lin Yi was Xiao Xiao's boyfriend, he was Bingtang's junior sister husband. What kind of existence was Xiao Xiao? The next master of the Ice Palace, her man was cheating on her? And so, Boss Tang decided to do this. After all, he never would have thought that the future Ice Palace master would agree to her man cheating on her, and to Bingtang's sister no less. "Kid, you look pretty close to Tang Yin, don't you? Aren't you Miss Feng Xiao Xiao's boyfriend? I'd advise you to mind your own business, don't cause a family conflict." Right Coiling Tiger saw Lin Yi holding Tang Yun's hand. This was purposely said for Xiao Xiao and Bingtang to hear. He wanted to sow discord between Lin Yi, Rock Candy, and Xiao Xiao, isolating Lin Yi. "Tang Yun has always been my girlfriend." Lin Yi glanced at Tiger Yu and said indifferently, "Is there a problem?" While Lin Yi was speaking, his body didn't stop for even a moment. He was constantly condensing true chi bombs. It had to be known that the Tang family's patriarch was a heaven stage expert. Although he was only at the early stage of heaven stage, it would still be enough to make Lin Yi suffer. Thus, Lin Yi had to have a way to protect himself. If he couldn't hold on any longer, he could just throw a bomb at Elder Tang. Regardless of whether he could kill Elder Tang or not, it would still be a form of deterrence. Boss Tang was stunned, and so was Right Coiling Tiger. They never would have thought that Lin Yi would say something like that. Boss Tang had been scheming to remove Lin Yi from this matter. He didn't want him to get involved in House Tang's internal affairs. However, Lin Yi directly said that Tang Yun was his girlfriend. This way, Tang Yun's matters could naturally be handled by him. After a short moment of surprise, Right Coiling Tiger wasn't too angry. He looked at Xiao Xiao mockingly before turning to Lin Yi. "No way? Did I hear it wrong? Aren't you the Ice Palace master's boyfriend? Did you fall in love with someone else, or did you cheat on her?" Although he was trying to pick a fight, the hatred between Tiger Yu and Lin Yi couldn't be resolved. He wanted to blow things up, and so he purposely pushed Xiao Xiao and Bingtang to see how they would react. "Both of them, can't I?" Lin Yi looked at Tiger Right as if he was looking at an idiot. "With your IQ, you don't even need to think about it. You might as well stay with that blue-haired guy. Being an idiot isn't a bad idea." "You." Right Coiling Tiger jumped, startled by Lin Yi's words. He subconsciously took 2 steps back, wanting to get away from Lin Yi, but he didn't expect that he'd fall right off the edge of the stage, landing on his butt. He was a practitioner, but it still hurt a lot when he didn't have his guard up. He grimaced in pain, getting up after a while. The guests couldn't help but laugh at Tiger Yu's action. Boss Tang frowned, cursing his nephew for being an idiot. He had the upper hand, but now that he fell, everyone's eyes were on him, and the pressure on the Ice Palace Master and Xiao Xiao's side was a lot lighter. Both of them? Do you think we'll believe you? Think about Miss Xiao Xiao's identity? How could the future Ice Palace Master share a man with another woman? Your joke isn't funny at all. Boss Tang brought the topic back. Forget it if you don't believe me. Is there something wrong with you, you old thing? I'm the small wife and Tang Yun's sis is the big wife. What's there to not understand? You've married so many wives and you'll understand? Xiao Xiao couldn't take it anymore and stood up. Wah! Boss Tang's eyes widened as he looked at Xiao Xiao standing up. As far as he was concerned, Xiao Xiao was definitely going to stand up and say something, but it was probably to pull Lin Yi back in a fit of rage so he wouldn't embarrass himself, not to support Lin Yi. Boss Tang never would have guessed that Xiao Xiao, the next Ice Palace Master, would be Lin Yi's small wife. What kind of logic was this? Ice Palace Master, it seems like your Ice Palace people have no rules? This is Hidden House Tang's business after all, and we ancient sects and noble houses respect tradition the most. That's what they say, it's the parents' decision, the matchmaker's decision. Who Tang Yun's parents want to marry her off to is her parents' business. What's wrong with your people? The one who spoke was the Sky Elixir sect's representative. He'd been holding his anger for a long time, and now that he had the chance, he stood up and spoke in a neutral tone. You're right, this is our sect's business. What does it have to do with you? Who do you think you are? Xiao Xiao stood up and glared at him. What's wrong with your Sky Elixir sect interfering? The Sky Elixir sect representative was about to explode after hearing Xiao Xiao's words. He didn't dare say anything after getting slapped by Bing Tang, but he wasn't afraid of Xiao Xiao at all. Xiao Xiao was the next Ice Palace Master, but she wasn't yet, was she? Chapter 1673. The most important thing was that Xiao Xiao was only a golden class, while the Sky Elixir representative was an Earth class mid-phase. Although he specialized in elixir making, an Earth class couldn't even beat a golden class early phase? He'd be better off dead. Chapter 1674. The school beauty's personal expert. And so, the Sky Elixir emissary was pissed off. He moved and reached out to grab Xiao Xiao, wanting to teach her a lesson. Xiao Xiao, watch out. The energy ball Lin Yi had prepared was for Elder Tang, so he didn't expect the idiot from the Sky Elixir to make the first move. Lin Yi had no more moves left, so he grabbed the energy ball and prepared to blow it up at the Sky Elixir representative. But Lin Yi didn't want to reveal his trump card too early. Only the Sky class girl knew about the theory behind the energy bomb, so Lin Yi could use it against Elder Tang. But a trump card was called a trump card because no one else knew about it. If everyone knew about it, then what kind of trump card would it be? Raging Flames. The martial skill used by the Heavenly Elixir sect's emissary was related to the Pill Fire. This was also the martial skill that most of the alchemists in the Heavenly Elixir sect cultivated. Using the Pill Fire as an offensive weapon and martial skill, there was no need to waste time cultivating other martial skills. Raging Flames was a beginner-level technique for refiners, using qi to activate the refinement fire in the body to injure the enemy, but the strength of this technique depended on the refiner's level and the element of the refinement fire they practiced. This Raging Flames was the most basic technique of the refinement fire element. It wasn't strong, but it was still an Earth class technique. It was a piece of cake for it to injure a golden class early phase master like Xiao Xiao. But before Lin Yi could make a move, Bing Tang made the first move. As a Heaven stage expert, how could she watch an Earth stage expert attack her own junior sister without noticing? What? Do you want to fight? Rock Candy casually waved her hand, and the fiery dragon-like flame immediately froze into ice cubes and fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. Because the fire was frozen in an instant, it was sealed in ice, like an ice lantern, leaving an afterimage in people's eyes before the fire was extinguished. Umph. Seeing that Bing Tang made a move, the Sky Elixir representative knew that he wouldn't get anything out of this. I was just warning her, don't meddle in other people's business. Having said that, the Heavenly Elixir sect's envoy seemed to deliberately find fault. He jumped on the high platform and then said to eldest brother Tang, "Today my Heavenly Elixir sect is here to be a witness. Eldest brother Tang's daughter is going to marry Yu Panhu of the Yu family. If anyone disagrees, then they're going against the Sky Elixir." The purpose of the Heavenly Elixir sect's visit this time was to support the hidden Yu family. If they showed weakness now, not only would the Heavenly Elixir sect lose face, but the hidden Yu family wouldn't be able to help the Heavenly Elixir sect anymore. May I ask, how many daughters does that boss Tang have? Lin Yi suddenly interrupted. Of course there's only one, Tang Yun, who we just lost. The Sky Elixir sect representative said, looking at Lin Yi provocatively. He'd been taken advantage of by Bingtang and now he wanted to get back at Lin Yi. Kid, you better know your place. You're just the boyfriend of the Ice Palace Sect Master's junior sister. We, the Sky Elixir Sect, don't even put the Ice Palace in our eyes, let alone a relative like you. I'm an alchemist, don't get yourself into trouble. The Sky Elixir representative's words were pretentious, but it was true. With the Sky Elixir Sect status, there was no need to fear the Ice Palace. This was also the reason why the young master of the Sky Elixir Sect dared to let Bingtang be his concubine. It was precisely because the alchemist's status was so respected that the Sky Elixir Sect had the capital to be arrogant. Oh, are you done? Lin Yi asked. I'm done, but kid. Before the Sky Elixir representative could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Lin Yi. Since you're done, then go fuck yourself. Lin Yi threw a Zhenqi bomb at the Sky Elixir representative, but this Zhenqi bomb contained a layer of water alchemy fire, which looked like the Raging Flames technique that the Sky Elixir representative had just used. However, Lin Yi had replaced the fire alchemy fire with the rarer water alchemy fire. This alchemy fire was just a cover, the real power was from the energy bomb that Lin Yi had thrown out. However, the time was short and the energy that Lin Yi had condensed was limited, so he couldn't cause too much damage to the Sky Elixir representative. However, Lin Yi didn't intend to kill the Sky Elixir representative on the spot. Lin Yi wasn't an idiot. Even the heaven-rank girl didn't dare to kill him on the spot, so with Lin Yi's background, wouldn't killing the Sky Elixir representative be suicide? However, even if he couldn't kill him, it was necessary to teach him a lesson. Lin Yi's use of the Raging Flames technique was also to build up his background. There were many different versions of Lin Yi's background saying that Lin Yi was a disciple of some big house or a big sect, and that he was a disciple of some big sect. However, whether it was true or not, Lin Yi knew best. Lin Yi was completely from a grassroots background, so how could he have a big force behind him? So the more tricks Lin Yi had up his sleeves, the more these ancient sects and hidden houses would be afraid of him. This also gave Lin Yi time to catch his breath, and by the time they could catch their breath, Lin Yi would be ready. Boom. The Heavenly Elixir Sect's emissary was sent flying by Lin Yi's attack. He landed on the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. The clothes on his upper body were all burned by Lin Yi's alchemic fire. His upper body was charred black and he looked a little pathetic. Of course, this was just a look of embarrassment, but in reality he didn't suffer any serious injuries. This was Lin Yi's perfect timing. The Sky Elixir Sect, the Hidden Yu family, and the Hidden Tang family were already enemies. Although they couldn't coexist, the Sky Elixir Sect wouldn't act rashly because of the Ice Palace behind Lin Yi. Lin Yi could also see that the Sky Elixir Sect's current strength wasn't enough to swallow the Ice Palace. Therefore, as long as Lin Yi didn't kill the Sky Elixir representative, the Sky Elixir Sect wouldn't come looking for trouble with Lin Yi. Now that the enmity was already set, Lin Yi, of course, had to teach the Sky Elixir representative a lesson. Chapter 1674. The guests, the Hidden Tang family and the people from the Hidden House of Tang and the Hidden House of Yu, who were originally suspicious of Lin Yi's martial skill, suddenly understood after hearing Lin Yi's words. So, Lin Yi was also an alchemist? No wonder it's also a pill master's martial technique, the school bell's personal expert, but Lin Yi's move made everyone go into an uproar. Lin Yi dared to attack the Sky Elixir Sect's representative. This was a slap to the face. At this moment, even Crystal Candy admired Lin Yi a little. This guy was really a hero who was angry for a beauty. Thinking back to when she took Xiao Xiao away, didn't Lin Yi explode in anger and fight her to the death? The Ice Palace emissary's move had probably crossed Lin Yi's bottom line, and while he'd blocked it, Lin Yi had remembered it in his heart. Wasn't this revenge coming soon? However, Lin Yi's method of revenge surprised even Bingtang. Bingtang knew Lin Yi's trump card, and she also knew Lin Yi's identity as an alchemist. So, his method wasn't a secret in Bingtang's eyes, but in other people's eyes, it became a real alchemist technique. This way, it didn't matter if it was the Hidden House Tang, the Hidden House Yu, or the Sky Elixir Sect, they'd all be speculating about Lin Yi's background. An Earth-class refiner, the man of the future sect master of the Ice Palace. Even the future sect master of the Ice Palace was willing to be a small wife. Bingtang shook her head. This Lin Yi really knew how to create fame. What identity did he have? If he did, he wouldn't have begged her in front of the Ice Palace for half a month without eating or drinking. Why. The emissary of the Heavenly Elixir Sect climbed up from the ground, fuming with anger. As an alchemist, he had a high status. Not to mention outside, even in the Heavenly Elixir Sect, no one dared to treat him like this. When had he ever been treated like this? Boss Tang was also glaring at Lin Yi angrily. It was supposed to be a good birthday banquet, but because of Lin Yi's interference, Boss Tang didn't dare to make a move. If Lin Yi dared to beat up the messenger of Heavenly Elixir sect, then what was Boss Tang? Plus, if he was going to make a move, would the sect master do it? Would Little Qing do it? Not to mention that Little Qing was a Sky class mid-phase. Even if it was just Bing Tang, he, Elder Tang, and the Sky Elixir representative wouldn't be her match. Little Ming, look at your child. She can't grow up in the countryside. Tell her that if she still wants to recognize us as her parents in the Tang family, she should listen to me and agree to the marriage with the Yu family. Then let's forget about the previous unhappiness. Boss Tang wanted to say some harsh words against Lin Yi, but after thinking about it, he didn't say it. Who knew if this guy would suddenly make trouble again? Plus, what made Boss Tang confused was that Lin Yi seemed to have a strong background. Even Bing Tang didn't dare to go against the Sky Elixir representative, but Lin Yi dared to directly injure him. Who did he borrow power from? Boss Tang didn't believe that he borrowed power from the Ice Palace. This Lin Yi wasn't stupid, and it wasn't that he couldn't see the situation clearly. If he dared to cause trouble at this time, then he obviously had something to rely on. However, before Little Ming could say anything, the Sky Elixir representative spoke first. Boss Tang, give me a straightforward answer today. If he dies, then I die. Either you kick him out or I'll leave. The Sky Elixir representative suffered a big loss today, but it was impossible for him to get back with his own ability. So, he could only use Boss Tang's identity as the host to kick Lin Yi out. That way he could still get back some face. Lin Yi, I don't care who you are, but this is our Tang family's business. Please leave immediately. Boss Tang said to Lin Yi with a gloomy face. What, Boss Tang, you don't welcome our guest? Bing Tang asked coldly. Things had gotten to this point, which was beyond the Ice Palace's expectations. The relationship between the Ice Palace and the Tang family had come to an end. Bing Tang didn't know what was wrong with Boss Tang's brain. He made a decision on his own to grant a marriage. Was he crazy? This. Boss Tang didn't dare to disobey the Sky Elixir representative and wanted Lin Yi to leave, but he definitely didn't want the Ice Palace to leave with him. Boss Tang, the Sky Elixir sect and the Ice Palace are irreconcilable. Should I leave or should they leave? You make the decision. The Sky Elixir representative said darkly. Tang Yun, I'll ask you again. Do you still recognize this Tang family? Boss Tang felt sad. If he knew this would happen, he would have agreed to the marriage. Now that things had turned out like this, he could only give up one of them. After weighing the pros and cons, Boss Tang decided to choose the Sky Elixir sect and the Hidden Yu family. After all, the Hidden Yu family was his wife's family, and the Sky Elixir sect was the Hidden Yu family's backer. If he chose the Ice Palace, not only would he offend the Sky Elixir sect, but he would also lose the Hidden Yu family's support. The Ice Palace's support wouldn't be important anymore. Moreover, the Ice Palace didn't have a good impression of the Hidden Tang family, so at this time he had to give it up. Recognize the Tang family? We didn't recognize them at all. As for Andy Xiaoming, we will take her away. Lin Yi looked at Boss Tang and said word by word. Good, very good. Tang Yun, Xiaoming, once you leave this house, you will have nothing to do with the Hidden Tang family. You don't need to come back anymore. I don't have a daughter like you, and I don't have a wife like you. Boss Tang pretended to be regretful. You're on your own. In your heart, you've always thought so, right? If you have no value, then you can leave, right? Lin Yi looked at Boss Tang mockingly. We can leave and we can leave now, but let me give you a piece of advice. If you beg Tang Yun to forgive you for what you did in the past, maybe Tang Yun will still recognize you as her father, and when you're in trouble in the future, she might even help you. However, I'm a person who can be persuaded but not cowed. The more you act like this, the better. In the future, we don't owe each other anything. Boss Tang will meet again. I'll beg for her forgiveness? Let her help me when I'm in trouble? What a joke. Eldest brother Tang suddenly burst into laughter. Are you dreaming? Lin Yi smiled. You can also think of it as a dream. Alright, that's all I have to say. Grandpa Tang, I wish you a happy birthday, and I hope you can celebrate your birthday next year. After Lin Yi finished, he took Tang Yun's hand and strode towards the entrance of the banquet hall. No one dared to stop them. Chapter 1675. Now, it was just a break in contact with the Ice Palace. With the Ice Palace's status, they naturally wouldn't settle scores with a lower-level family like the Hidden Tang family. No pop-up window chias for the fight between the Ice Palace and the Heavenly Elixir sect. It had nothing to do with the Hidden Tang family. Lin Yi had successfully created and borrowed power. If it wasn't for his unpredictable martial skills and the Heaven class girl sitting here, Lin Yi probably wouldn't have been able to leave the Tang family today. But now not only did he leave, he even stepped on Big Brother Tang a few times. However, Lin Yi wasn't very happy. Instead, he had a deep desire for power. If he was a heaven-class expert today, he wouldn't have hesitated to kill the Heavenly Elixir Sect's envoy instead of just teaching him a lesson. Rock Candy, Little Qin, Father and Mother Tang, and Xiaoming also walked towards the entrance of the banquet hall. The hidden Tang family was supposed to be celebrating, but because of Lin Yi, everyone lost all interest. Old Man Tang sighed slightly. A man who is never content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have been in such a hurry to get close to the Ice Palace. Then he wouldn't have offended the Ice Palace for no reason. Although Lin Yi and the others had left, after such a ruckus, the birthday banquet couldn't continue. Many of the necessary steps were skipped and the banquet ended in a hurry. During the banquet, it didn't feel like a birthday banquet, but a funeral banquet. No one dared to speak. They all had gloomy faces as they lowered their heads and ate. As for the Heavenly Elixir Sect's envoy, he also left after Lin Yi and the others had left. Although the Tang family chose the Heavenly Elixir Sect and chased Lin Yi and the others away, the envoy didn't feel like he had won at all. At the end of the birthday banquet, Grandfather Tang whispered a few instructions to Eldest Tang. Eldest Tang walked up to the stage again and said to the guests, "I hope that no one will speak about what happened today. Don't leak it out. It involves the face of the Heavenly Elixir Sect. Everyone should be clear about the consequences." These people were the relatives and clansmen of the Tang family. Usually they had to rely on the Tang family to survive. Since Big Brother Tang had ordered them to do this, they naturally wouldn't talk about it casually. Moreover, it involved the face of the Heavenly Elixir Sect, so they couldn't talk about it carelessly. After all, no one would complain about having a long life. Therefore, after Tang Big Bro gave the order, everyone nodded one after another, not daring to have the slightest doubt. After the banquet, the people of the Hidden Right family did not stay for long and left with the emissary of the Heavenly Elixir Sect. Of course, Yu Zhintian did not have any objections to hiding the Tang family. They had left in a hurry because they had to accompany the Heavenly Elixir Sect's envoy. They could not possibly let the envoy leave alone, right? Relatively speaking, Yu Zhintian was quite satisfied with the decision made by the Hidden Tang family today. This way, the Hidden Tang family would be tied together with the Hidden House Yu and the Heavenly Elixir Sect's interests. They had no other choice and could not turn back. After returning to the hotel, Lin Yi let out a long breath. What he did today was indeed a little risky. Looking at the smiling Bing Tang sitting in front of him, Lin Yi felt a little uncomfortable. "Sky-class girl, why are you looking at me? I didn't think that you would open my eyes today. You dared to hit the people of the Heavenly Elixir Sect. Aren't you afraid that they will take revenge?" Bing Tang was getting more and more confused about Lin Yi. This guy could sometimes put down his status and dignity for some things, begging for her sympathy for Xiao Xiao. But sometimes he would rather die than submit. He would rather go against the Heavenly Elixir Sect than compromise. But, no matter what, Lin Yi did it for Xiao Xiao, for the person he loved. This made Bing Tang look at Lin Yi in a higher light. At this moment, she didn't think that Lin Yi wasn't good enough for Xiao Xiao anymore. At the very least, what he'd done was worthy of Xiao Xiao's love. Even if they want revenge, it's you. I'm just a small fry, they won't be able to find me for now, Lin Yi said faintly. Plus, do you think that the Heavenly Elixir Sect's messenger will say what happened today? If he loses face, it's not his problem, it's the Heavenly Elixir Sect's face. If he says what happened today, the Heavenly Elixir Sect will be in a passive position. They have to fight back, but they don't have the confidence to take down the Ice Palace. If they don't fight back, isn't that the same as admitting defeat? So, as long as the messenger isn't stupid, he'll keep his mouth shut. As for the Hidden House Tang and House Yu, no one would dare to say anything. I'm still safe. It seems like you've thought it through. You're not someone who doesn't care about the consequences. Bing Tang nodded. Lin Yi was right. She thought about it too. But your identity as a refiner has been exposed. I've revealed that I'm only at the first or second level of the golden class, not too high or too low. House Yu doesn't even care about my strength, let alone the Heavenly Elixir Sect. But at most they'll wonder if I have a master behind me. But the more they think about it, the more mysterious my identity is. They won't dare to act recklessly, Lin Yi said. It's good that you know. Bing Tang was satisfied with Lin Yi's answer. Tonight I'll be bringing Xiao Xiao back. Good luck. I hope that the next time I see you, you'll have strength that will make me think highly of you. Don't worry, wifey. Lin Yi smiled. Bing Tang took a deep breath. She wanted to say scram, but she held it in. She didn't want to dispel Lin Yi's ambition. She wanted him to have hope. As for the existence of a first-level mystic refiner and the existence that surpassed sky class, she never thought that Lin Yi could achieve it. So, it didn't matter if she rejected him or not. Lin Yi brought Tang Yun, Mr. Tang, Mrs. Tang and Xiao Ming, and parted ways with Bing Tang, Xiao Xiao and Xiao Qing. Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi and Tang Yun. She didn't want to leave. It was only a few days, but it made Xiao Xiao feel like she had returned to school. It was still the same, playing with Lin Yi and Tang Yun without any worries. But reality and imagination were different. She had to wake up from her dreams. Xiao Xiao had to accept this reality. Lin Yi, honey, you have to work hard too. Xiao Xiao knew that if she broke through to sky class and Lin Yi didn't, it'd be a tragedy for the two of them to be together. When they really had to go to sky class island, Xiao Xiao didn't want to be alone. Alright. Lin Yi nodded. Don't worry. Not only will I work hard, but I'll also bring Yun Yun, Yao Yao and Shu to our old home in Star West Village. I'll see if there's any arts suitable for them. Chapter 1676. As for the practitioner's arts, Lin Yi did ask Bing Tang about it, but the Ice Palace practitioner's arts were mainly suitable for ice elements. Not everyone could use it. As for other types of arts, the Ice Palace really didn't collect them. The Ice Palace was different from the other ancient sects. They only collected according to physique, so there was no need for them to prepare other arts. Chi no pop-up window, of course, if it was a normal one, Bing Tang could find a few, but there really wasn't anything special about it. Lin Yi probably wouldn't be interested in it. This time he had to find a suitable practitioner's art. He couldn't just find a random one. Alright, I'll wait for you in the Ice Palace. Xiao Xiao hugged Lin Yi and stood on her tiptoes to kiss Lin Yi's cheek. She quickly let go of Lin Yi and said to Tang Yun, embarrassed, Tang Yun sis, don't be jealous. I won't kiss you now, but I don't know how long it'll be before I can kiss you again. You guys might be even closer then. Xiao Xiao was bold, but with Tang Yun beside her, she was still a little shy. Of course not, Tang Yun smiled. Take care of yourself, don't tire yourself out. Don't worry, Tang Yun sis. Xiao Xiao nodded. Just as Lin Yi and the others were returning to Songshan, Qibing was waiting for the good news from Blood Cloak Yellow Springs in the Floating Cloud Bar. I wonder if this Blood Cloak Yellow Springs is reliable. It's been so long and there's still no news from them. Did they deal with Lin Yi? Qibing waited for news every day, but he was always disappointed. Master Bing, this Blood Cloak Yellow Springs is a very domineering sect, but they're not weak. If they send out 3 to 4 mystic late phase peak masters, they should be able to take care of Lin Yi easily, Boss Zhu said. At the moment, the news about the hidden Tang family had not spread because Big Brother Tang had given a gag order. None of the guests present would speak of what happened at the birthday banquet, so it was normal that the other hidden families did not get the news. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Zihua, how's business lately? Qibing had spent 10 million just to kill Lin Yi. It wasn't a lot, but for someone like him who wanted to do more for House Zhao, the money he lost was the same as the money he earned, wasn't it? The construction of the new Qibing skyscraper is almost complete, and the transformation of the slums is also in progress. Zihua said, this time I've decided to build the Qibing skyscraper in the slums area. I'm planning to sell the land that was in the Qibing skyscraper to get cash or build a shopping mall. Oh, why did you build it in the slums area? Qibing was taken aback. That place. The building collapsed twice in a row, and it's a little inauspicious, so I decided to build it in the slums area on my own. It'll be more convenient to do it together with the reconstruction of the slums. Zihua said. Master Bing, didn't you say that I can make my own decisions when it comes to business? I didn't want to disturb you, so I thought it wasn't a big deal. Oh, I see. It wasn't a big deal in the first place. Qibing nodded. It's better if we change the place. I feel sad whenever I see the previous place. It reminds me of the humiliation of my broken leg and the collapse of the building twice. Changing the place will be a new beginning. Alright, but the orphanage thing hasn't been settled yet. The old dean's temper is bad and stubborn. I scared her once, but she didn't do anything. Zihua said. After that, things kept happening here. Yawang and Uncle Zhu were both injured, so we didn't bother them anymore. Master Bing, what do you think? Fuck, it's one thing for Lin Yi to be cocky, but a small orphanage is acting like that? Bring some people and scare them a little more. If they don't listen, burn them down and see if they can't move. Zhao Qibing was now a core member of House Zhao. Naturally, his tone was a lot more arrogant. Yes, Master Bing. I'll bring some people over to warn them, Zihua said. The two were discussing the development of the real estate when a man in black walked into the bar. It was the contact from Blood Cloak Underworld. Jianghu didn't dare to stop him and followed the man into the inner room. The man stood in front of Zhao Qibing and said coldly, "Zhao, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you?" Qibing was happy to see the man in black, thinking that they'd killed Lin Yi already, but he didn't think that the man's first sentence would confuse him. "What do you mean? What are you talking about? What did I do to you? Did you kill Lin Yi or not?" "Kill? We sent 3 mystic late phase peak masters and all of them turned into corpses. You tell me, did you kill him?" The contact from Blood Cloak Underworld humphed coldly. "According to our people's judgment, Lin Yi's side is at least an Earth class, and I think there's more than one Earth class. Otherwise, how could 3 of us mystic late phase peak masters die? What kind of information are you providing?" "Ah? All 3 are dead?" Qibing froze. "Are you serious? Are you serious? Lin Yi is only a golden class late phase peak. Even if he wasn't poisoned, he's only a mystic late phase peak. You sent 3 mystic late phase peak masters like Lin Yi and 3 of them didn't kill him? Nonsense. Our people are dead now." The man in black said coldly. "Zhao, what do you mean? I told you not to hide your strength and you still dare to hide it? Do you think that Blood Cloak Underworld is a pushover?" "What did I hide?" Qibing raged. "That Lin Yi is a mystic late phase peak master, and he participated in the Ice Palace's test. We all know how strong he is. If he was above Earth class, how could he participate in the test? So you're saying that it was Lin Yi who broke through?" The man in black asked. "I don't know about that, but I'm not lying." Qibing was both shocked and furious. He didn't think that 3 mystic late phase peak masters would be killed by Lin Yi. Fuck, why was Lin Yi so cruel? Thank God he didn't ask Boss Zhu to help, or Boss Zhu would have been killed as well. But Zhao Qibing couldn't understand how Lin Yi could kill 3 masters at the peak of the late phase of the Mystic Division. Even if Lin Yi was an Earth-class early phase master, he wouldn't be able to do that easily, not to mention that Lin Yi was poisoned? Chapter 1677. "I don't care if you're lying or not, our losses are all because of you. 3 masters of the late phase peak of the Mystic class are gone just like that. Within half a year you have to pay us 300 million as funeral fees or else haha." The man in black didn't finish his sentence, but it wasn't hard to imagine that Zhao Qibing and the others would be buried with him. 300 million? Zhao Qibing took in a cold breath. He hadn't earned much recently, and now he had to pay 300 million? Wasn't this a joke? "That's right, you have to accept this price whether you want to or not. I'm just informing you." The man said, "Remember, I'll be back to collect the debt in half a year. Don't even think about running away. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, you won't be able to escape from us." Blood Cloak Yellow Spring Sect knew that Zhao Qibing wouldn't be able to take out 300 million at once, so they gave them half a year. Of course, Blood Cloak Yellow Spring Sect was basically an ancient sect, so they weren't afraid of the hidden house Zhao. They were a nest of assassins and no one knew where their headquarters was. Therefore, ordinary people didn't dare to provoke such a sect. Otherwise, no matter where you went, there would be experts chasing after you all day long. How could you do other things? With that, the black-clothed man left, leaving Zhao Qibing gritting his teeth in anger. "Fuck, what the hell? You're asking for money when you're dead?" Qibing was pissed. If he really wanted to kill Lin Yi, he could have just asked for 300 million. He'd get the money even if he had to sell everything he had, but now, wasn't this 300 million too much of a waste? Funeral fees? "Master Bing. We have to pay them and we can't go back on our word. Otherwise there'll be big problems in the future." Boss Zhu said sadly, "Master Bing, I'm really sorry about this. I didn't expect the Blood Cloth Underworld sect to fail. They have a good reputation in the industry. Who knew this time? It's fine, Boss Zhu. Money is just a worldly possession, but it won't be a problem to get 300 million in half a year, but, Sai, it's all for nothing." Zhao Qibing waved his hand. To him, losing 300 million was nothing, but Boss Zhu was an Earth-class master and he cared a lot about it. "It's fine, Master Bing. I've saved a lot of money over the years and I can still afford 300 million. I'll pay it." "I'm happy to hear that." Boss Zhu saw that Master Bing didn't blame him and instead comforted him. He was touched and decided to pay the 300 million himself. Boss Zhu was an Earth-class master after all. He had taken on a lot of private jobs over the years and earned a lot of extra money. 300 million was still within his reach. He didn't spend much on normal days, unlike the hidden Zhao family, which had a lot of income but a lot of expenses. They didn't have much money left every year. "All right. Then consider this 300 million as a loan from me. When I take charge of the Zhao family, I will definitely give you a great merit." Zhao Qibing didn't reject it. After all, he needed money now and he had to take credit from the house. If he gave it all to the Blood Cloak Underworld sect, he'd be looked down upon by his family. With Master Bing's words, "I will do anything for you," Boss Zhu said. "Don't mention this in the house. Let bygones be bygones, just treat it as a lesson." Fuck, if only we told them that Lin Yi was an Earth-class master, and they'd send a Sky-class master to kill Lin Yi. It wouldn't be more than 300 million. It's such a waste of money. Zhao Qibing said helplessly. Indeed, but who would have thought that Lin Yi leveled up again? Didn't we think of saving money back then? Killing a Golden-class master only cost 10 million, but killing an Earth-class master would cost more than 200 million. Boss Zhu smiled bitterly. Sometimes it's really a big loss to be greedy. Forget it, Zihua. Go and study the demolition. Try to earn as much money as possible to recoup the loss of 300 million. Qibing ordered. Yes. Zihua finished. Then I'll contact the people from the orphanage again in the next few days. If they still don't know what's good for them, then don't blame us for being impolite. In the orphanage, the dean and Yu Xiaoke were worried about the relocation of the orphanage, but after such a long time, there was no news from Qibing Real Estate. The two of them thought that they had given up on developing the land for the orphanage and breathed a sigh of relief. Spending money like water. It seems like we'll have to find something to do after a while. We can't just sit around and eat, can we? Xiaoke couldn't help but frown as she spoke to the dean. The treasures she brought from the tomb were being used up quickly. It's not sitting around and eating. Xiaoke, convert the money you brought back into money and deposit it in the bank. The interest every year should be enough to maintain the orphanage's expenses. As long as it doesn't increase the expenses too much, there shouldn't be a problem. The dean said, "Don't do this anymore, it's too dangerous. When you came back from robbing tombs, I was scared when you told me about it. I'm afraid it was even more dangerous back then." "Yeah, but what else can I do if I don't do this?" Xiaoke had been unemployed at home recently and didn't find anything that could earn her money. It was even harder for her to be a thief. Because of the bank robbery in Songshan, there were patrol cars everywhere. Xiaoke didn't dare to go out and commit crimes. As for robbing tombs, Xiaoke really didn't dare to do it anymore. After the last time, she realized how dangerous it was. If it wasn't for the male thief protecting her, she would have died a long time ago. Male thief. Xiaoke blushed at the thought of him. This was the first time she had fallen in love with him, caring for her everywhere, not letting her get hurt at all. In Xiaoke's heart, the male thief's figure had been deeply imprinted. She didn't know what he looked like, didn't know if he was handsome or not, but that wasn't important to her. She only liked the male thief who covered his face and blocked her way. "Xiaoku, you've worried about the orphanage for so many years and spent so much effort. Now that the orphanage has nothing to worry about, you should find someone to marry. You can't stay in the orphanage for the rest of your life, right? This isn't a place for a young girl like you to stay in." The dean looked at Xiaoke's blushing face. How could she not know what she was thinking? Chapter 1678. The dean was young once and she had her own love. Naturally, she encouraged Xiaoke to pursue her own happiness. Xiaoke felt embarrassed when the dean saw through her thoughts. "Chino pop-up window, haha, is it that Lin Yi?" The dean smiled. "Why hasn't he come recently?" "It's not him." Xiaoke shook her head. Although Lin Yi helped her a few times, she didn't have the same feelings towards Lin Yi as she did towards the male thief. Plus, Lin Yi was an annoying person. How could he say that someone else's martial arts were useless? How infuriating. "It's not him?" Before the old dean could finish his words, someone rushed into the room. "Dean Manager Li from Qibing Real Estate is here. He said that he wants to discuss the relocation of our orphanage." Ken walked in and said to the dean, "Why are they here again?" The dean frowned. She didn't expect that the people from Qibing Real Estate would come to her door again. "Xiaoke, rest first. I'll go with Ken." "Dean, do you need me to go with you?" Xiaoke was worried when she heard that the people from Qibing Real Estate were here. Master Bing said that if the orphanage didn't agree to the relocation, he would teach the orphanage a lesson. "It's useless even if you go." The old dean waved his hand and said, "Your strength is too weak. If they want to make a move, it will be futile even if you go. If they negotiate peacefully, then you won't be able to make the decision even if you go. It's better for you to rest. This period of time has been enough for you." "All right then." Xiaoke didn't force it. After all, the dean was telling the truth. Xiaoke wasn't good at negotiating. What if she said something she shouldn't and made both parties unhappy? Dean and Ken walked out of Xiaoke's room, and she turned on the TV casually. She was about to change the channel when she heard a piece of news on the TV. "What's going on?" "This is Songshan News Bulletin. We're broadcasting an important piece of news." Under the heavy assault of our city's police force, we've arrested the grave robbers couple, James Grave Robber Gang, Old Hay Grave Robber Gang, and a few other grave robbers gang members. They're currently being held at the detention center. This case will be heard in XX City's court tomorrow. The criminals will be escorted to XX City's detention center tonight. Due to the large number of criminals, this section will be temporarily closed at 10 p.m. for half an hour. Drivers, please avoid this time period or take a detour. Yu Xiaoke didn't hear the rest of the news, but she did hear that the tomb robbers couple had been caught in one fell swoop. Did that mean that the male thief had also been caught? Xiaoke didn't know if there was some kind of internal conflict between the grave robbers, or else why would so many of them be caught at the same time? But no matter what the reason was, Xiaoke didn't care. What she cared about was the male thief. The male thief was caught? And he was going to be sent to the court tomorrow? Xiaoke stood up abruptly, pacing around the room in panic. If the case really went to court with the amount of money that the male thief had stolen, he could be sentenced to life imprisonment or even death. How could Xiaoke watch the man she loved die? But what could Xiaoke do? She could only watch the news. She didn't know who to ask. The first person she thought of was Lingshan, but she never got along with Lingshan. What if she got caught before she could find out anything? That wouldn't be worth it. What should she do? Rob the execution field. A scene from a TV show popped up in Xiaoke's mind. This thought scared Xiaoke herself. But as soon as the idea popped up, Xiaoke couldn't help but want to do it. She had no other choice. Although this decision was very dangerous, and she might die a horrible death, Xiaoke didn't regret it. If it weren't for the male thief, she would have died a long time ago. Now that he was caught, he might be sentenced to death as well. Xiaoke thought that since they couldn't be together in life, they might as well die together. Love always made people impulsive, and although impulsiveness was the devil, Xiaoke couldn't stop herself from doing it. But if she died, what would happen to the children in the orphanage? With that thought, Xiaoke hesitated again. She liked the male thief and she wanted to sacrifice herself for love, but the children in the orphanage were behind her. It was an invisible mission and responsibility, and she had to think about the children's future before she did it. On one side was love and loyalty, and on the other side was the children in the orphanage. This was the first time Xiaoke was in a dilemma. She had never liked anyone before, and she put all her heart and soul into the children in the orphanage. But this time she had the shadow of the male thief in her heart. But if she didn't take care of the male thief's safety, she would feel guilty for the rest of her life. She remembered that the headmaster said that the money she got from robbing the tombs would be enough for the orphanage's future expenses. Xiaoke let out a sigh of relief. Xiao Ken was all grown up now, so she should let him take care of the orphanage? She didn't need to do dangerous things anymore, and she only needed him to take care of the children. This way Xiaoke could die in peace. Even if she died, she wouldn't have to worry about anything. With that thought, Xiaoke made her decision. She would talk to Xiao Ken later and let him take care of the orphanage. Then she would carry out her big plan. Sihua's main purpose for coming to the orphanage this time was to scare the orphanage into moving, but the dean was adamant about it. They could move, but they had to replace it with a ready-made orphanage that they could use. The land alone was out of the question. The orphanage wasn't a real estate company, so what was the use of land? As a result, the negotiations didn't go smoothly at all. Sihua, on the other hand, left some harsh words before he left. Dean, I'd advise you to agree to our company's proposal. Otherwise, you'll end up with nothing in the end. You don't even have this condition. Sihua said. The headmaster didn't reply to Sihua's words. He had the strength of a golden class, but because of his severe internal injuries, he couldn't even use half of his strength. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 1679. Besides, Sihua had made it clear that they had an earth class. If he didn't know what was good for him, then the consequences would be very serious. In fact, the old director also wanted to find a quieter place to rebuild an orphanage. But rebuilding the orphanage required funds, and it was not something that could be achieved with just a thought. To be honest, if Sihua found a secluded piece of land and built an orphanage on it, and so did the dean, they would agree to the exchange. The position was of no use to these children, and the old dean hoped that these children would living a better life. To Kidara, however, a piece of land was completely useless to the old dean. Even so, the old dean knew that he had no choice but to accept it. If they persisted, they might anger Sihua and Zhao Qibing. What would they do then? Things might not necessarily turn out that way. In order not to worry Xiaoke, the dean didn't tell her about this. She was the one who was responsible for this. He was talking to Sihua alone. Not even Ken knew about it. At this moment, Ken had been called back by Xiaoke, and was making arrangements for his funeral. Xiao Ken, you've grown up. I'll leave the orphanage to you in the future. You'll help the orphanage. Boss, take care of everything, Xiaoke said solemnly to Xiao Ken. Xiao Ken was a little muddled. He didn't know what was going on when Xiaoke suddenly called him here. Xiaoke's straightforward words confused him. Sister Xiaoke, I've been assisting you all along. Are you and the old director managing the orphanage? Yes, but from now on, it's just you. Xiaoke sighed. Xiao Yao, you're the only one. But I might not be able to help you anymore. Ah? Sister Xiaoku, are you leaving the orphanage? Xiao Ken was stunned. You are going to marry? Where is he? When Xiao Ken said this, he was a little disappointed. Yu Xiao was an older boy. The goddess in their hearts, but she was just a goddess. They didn't dare to do anything to Yu Xiaoke. Divide and think. Holy Church, more or less. Xiaoke nodded. You have to promise Xiaoke sis that you'll do it in the future. Take care of your brothers and sisters in the orphanage. Okay. Big sister Xiaoku, will you come back often? Xiao Ken was a little reluctant. I might not be able to come back. Xiaoke sighed and decided to tell the truth. Xiao Ken had grown up and he was a sensible child. Most importantly, he was a loyal child. Son, you know how to repay kindness. So if Xiaoke told him, he'd probably understand her feelings. Can't come back? What do you mean? Ken felt that something was wrong with Xiaoke. He asked, Sister Xiaoke, what are you trying to say? Why does it look like you're going to the execution ground? Xiao Ken was just joking, but he didn't expect that he would hit the mark. It's about the same. Xiaoke nodded and said, Xiao Ken, Xiaoke sis. This time, I'm actually going to save someone. Save someone? Who does Sister Xiaoke want to save? Xiao Ken asked curiously. A person who treats Big Sister Xiaoke very well. Big Sister Xiaoke also likes him very much. He is Big Sister Xiaoke, the prince on a white horse in my heart. Xiaoke said as she started to explain everything in detail. She told Xiao Ken everything once more. She didn't tell the dean about these things back then. Xiaoke purposely hid the ambiguous feelings between her and the male thief. But now she didn't hide it from Xiao Ken. She put it in her heart. She told Xiao Ken all the things that she had been holding back for a long time. This time Xiaoke had made up her mind. There was no turning back, so the details of the matter were clear. She had to explain everything clearly. Sister Xiaoku, you're going to the execution ground? You don't want to live anymore? Xiao Ken's eyes widened. Even if the male thief helped you before, you can't do something stupid like this. If you go, you'll be able to come back? Really? Not only won't you be able to save him, but you'll also die. I've thought about this a long time ago. Xiaoke shook her head helplessly. I know. With my current strength, it's extremely hard to save someone, but if I don't go, I'll never be able to get over it. If I don't go, I'll never be able to get over it. If I die, then so be it. I like him and I'll die for him. I'm willing. Xiao Ken, you're still young. You don't know what it's like to love someone. Who says I don't understand? Xiao Ken's face turned red and he hurriedly said, I like Sister Xiaoku, I don't want to let her go. Go and die. This isn't the same. Yu Xiao laughed. Xiao Ken, your liking is just a form of worship. After I leave, you will be the backbone of the orphanage. Those children will love you and respect you. Worship you. Now that everything in the orphanage has been stabilized, I can leave in peace. Ken knew Xiaoke's personality. She was a very stubborn and strong-willed person. What had been decided would be done, but Xiao Ken really didn't want Yu Xiaoke to die. She was destined to never return, so she said, Sister Xiaoke, isn't your boyfriend, Big Brother Linny? How did he fall in love with someone else? Brother Linny is so good, why do you have to like a nobody? Meow's male thief? What? That's just a misunderstanding. Xiaoke shook her head. There's nothing between us. Linny is a good person, but he always looks down on me. I don't have any feelings for him. But men. Robber is different. I like him. Sister Xiaoke, have you spoken to the dean? Xiao Ken really had no choice. She could only bring up the dean's name, hoping that the dean would stop Yu Xiaoke and not let her go. Do something stupid. Don't tell the old dean about this. I'll leave her a letter and you can pass it to her for me. Xiaoke sighed. She knew that the dean loved her as if she was his own daughter. Therefore, if the old dean knew about this, he would definitely take the risk with him. But Xiaoke didn't want the dean to take the risk with her, so she decided to leave first. Orphanage site Xiao Ken could replace him, but President absolutely couldn't be without him. So Xiaoke said to Xiao Ken seriously, Xiao Ken, you are the oldest and the most sensible one. You know, if the old dean finds out about this, she will definitely accompany me. She was the most sensible one. You know, if the old dean knew about this, she would definitely accompany me. If there's danger, will you let her go? But Xiao Ken knew that Xiaoke was telling the truth after hearing her words. This made Xiao Ken hesitate. He was in a difficult position. On one hand, he didn't want Xiaoke to take the risk. On the other hand, he knew Xiaoke's personality. Once she decided to do something, she would do it no matter how hard it was. Target equals undercommit. Chapter 1680. No buts. Xiao Ken, promise me that you'll take good care of the kids in the orphanage, okay? Xiaoke stared at Xiao Ken without blinking. Okay. Xiao Ken had no choice but to nod under Xiaoke's gaze. I'll try my best. But Xiaoke sis, you have to be careful. If you can't do it, don't do it. Just do it. Haha, there's a type of love called going through life and death together, and there's a type of love called risking one's life. Xiao Ken laughed. But Xiaoke sis, you and that male thief. There's no love. Xiao Ken tried to persuade Xiaoke. There's a type of love called love at first sight, and there's a type of love called moths flying into flames, Xiaoke said. She said, although it was only for a short moment, it was engraved in my heart. At that moment, his love for me was deeply engraved in my heart. His love for me at that moment is something I'll never forget. Xiao Ken looked at Xiaoke, not knowing what to say. He didn't know how to say it. He knew that no matter what he said, Xiaoke would do it. There was no point in saying it. Don't frown. Without Xiaoke sis, you'll be the big brother of the orphanage from now on. You need to take care of your brothers and sisters. What do you look like now? Xiaoke laughed. Don't let me leave in peace. Okay. Xiao Ken nodded helplessly. Then, when are you leaving? Tonight at 10. It's 7 now, I should be leaving. Xiaoke said, there's still some distance from XX detention center. There's still some distance to the XX detention center, so I have to make preparations in advance. And so, Xiaoke left a letter in front of Xiao Ken and left the orphanage. Xiao Ken took Xiaoke's letter. Xiaoke told him to give it to the old house tomorrow. Elder, don't give it to the dean right after she leaves. The dean will catch up to her if that happens. Things will become more troublesome. What should I do? What should I do? Xiao Ken didn't want anything to happen to Xiaoke, but with his abilities he couldn't stop or help Xiaoke. He didn't know martial arts, so he wouldn't be able to help Xiaoke even if he went. He was busy, but he couldn't trouble the dean. Suddenly Xiao Ken had a flash of inspiration. He thought of someone. Perhaps this person could help Xiaoke. This person was Lin Yi, the man Ken had mistaken for Xiaoke's boyfriend, his Xiaoke sis husband. But from the looks of it, that didn't seem to be the case. But that was not important. What was important was that Lin Yi seemed to be very good at martial arts. Tall, very powerful. If he could help Sister Xiaoke, then Sister Xiaoke would win. The odds should be quite high. The problem was, would Lin Yi help Xiaoke? Ken was hesitant. She asked Lin Yi for help, but not only did Lin Yi refuse to help, he even leaked the information to the police. That would be even more dangerous. But Ken remembered that Yu Xiaoxiao had been injured by Lingshan last time, and it was Lin Yi who had saved her. If he wanted to tell Lingshan about Xiaoke, he would have told her already. He wouldn't have waited until now. Therefore Xiao Ken was relieved again. He had Lin Yi's number in his hands. Lin Yi had left it for him last time. He didn't think that he would actually need it. Lin Yi had just sent Tang Yun, Mr. Tang, Mrs. Tang, and Xiaoming back to House Tang's new house. He drove back to House Chu's villa, telling Mengyao and Yushu about what happened at House Tang. Suddenly his phone rang. Lin Yi thought that it was Tang Yun, but the number on the phone was unfamiliar. It was an existing number in the phone book, a local landline number in Songshan. Hello. Lin Yi picked up. Hello. The other side was silent for a while before saying, hello. Who are you looking for? What's the matter? The other side didn't say anything. Lin Yi didn't know what was going on. How strange. In fact, Xiao Ken was organizing his words. He called Lin Yi out of impulse, but he didn't know how to tell Lin Yi about this. I'm Xiao Ken. Xiao Ken said carefully, Do you remember me? Xiao Ken? Oh, I remember you. You're the kid from the orphanage, right? Lin Yi pondered for a while and remembered Xiao Ken. He remembered Ken, the boy who worshipped Xiaoke a little. It's me. Xiao Ken heard that Lin Yi remembered him and was happy. You're sometimes now? Sometimes? Now? What's the matter? Lin Yi paused and asked. It was almost night time. It was 8 o'clock. What could Xiao Ken be looking for him at this time? Plus, it wasn't Xiaoke who was looking for him. Usually, Xiaoke would be the one who contacted him about the orphanage. But Xiao Ken calling him meant that he was looking for him behind Xiaoka's back. This made Lin Yi confused. And I have something important to talk to you about. Can I see you? It's urgent. Xiao Ken said with certainty. Okay, where are you? I'll come to you now. Lin Yi hesitated and agreed. He had a good impression of Xiao Ken, so if Xiao Ken asked him for help, it wouldn't be very troublesome. He'd still agree to help if it wasn't something too troublesome. I'm at the orphanage. Xiao Ken said, then I'll wait for you in the alley in front of the orphanage. I want to see you alone. All right, I'll head over now. Lin Yi nodded, feeling more and more excited after hearing what Ken said. He was sure that Xiao Ken was contacting him behind Xiaoka's back. After hanging up, Yushu asked, Shield bro, it's so late. Are you going out? I have something to do. Xiao Ken from the orphanage is looking for me. It seems urgent. Lin Yi said. Oh, then come back early. Big sis Yao Yao and I are getting excited listening to it. You used the Rising Dragon Fist, how badly did you beat that blue-haired guy? Yushu was getting anxious. Haha, I'll tell you guys when I get back. Lin Yi stood up with a smile, picking up his car keys. He picked up the car key and walked out of the mansion. Lin Yi planned to ask Faubert about martial arts. Jiao Yazi didn't know anything. The only person Lin Yi could ask was Faubert. Faubert used to be an Earth class master. He must have some understanding of martial arts. It was his fault. He didn't understand the Earth class before, and he didn't know that the Earth class was a dividing line. It was the beginning of the path to a higher level. He thought it was the same as the Mystic and Golden class. He only used chi and punches to fight the enemy. Chapter 1681. After getting in the car, Lin Yi went directly to the orphanage. In the alley of the orphanage, Lin Yi saw a young man with a strange face. His face was anxious as he looked left and right, waiting for Lin Yi's Xiao Ken. Did you wait too long? Let's talk in the car. Lin Yi drove the car to Xiao Ken's side. He said, Brother Lin Yi, you're here. Xiao Ken's face lit up when he saw Lin Yi. She quickly got into Lin Yi's car. After Xiao Ken got in the car, Lin Yi parked the car in the roadside parking space, then said to Xiao Ken, Can you say it now? Why are you looking for me so urgently? And? Xiao Ken quickly nodded. Brother Lin Yi, something happened to Sister Xiao Ku. Can you help her? Help her. Little Ku? What happened to her? Lin Yi was stunned after hearing Xiao Ken's words. Lin Yi hadn't seen Xiaoka for a long time after the tomb raid, but he still felt a little nervous. At this moment, Yu Xiaoka's cute and shy face appeared clearly in front of Lin Yi. It was as if the moment Xiaoka spoke her mind happened yesterday, and he could still remember it vividly. Yeah, right. He had developed a slight liking for the girl, but the two of them were destined to never cross paths again. His identity had already become a part of history, and he would never appear in front of the world again. Hearing that Xiaoka was in trouble, Lin Yi's heart tightened. He still cared about her. Although the sanctuary, however, just like Yu Ning's eagle at that time, the male thief also had a different identity. This was one of Lin Yi's identities. Sister Xiao Ku is going to rob the execution ground. Can you help her? Otherwise, she won't be able to return. Xiao Ken said anxiously. Rob the execution ground? Lin Yi was stunned. Rob what execution ground? Don't tell me you've watched too many dramas? No? It's like this. Xiao Ken didn't dare to hide anything and told Xiaoka everything. He relayed what he said to Lin Yi. Xiao Ken had a good memory and almost didn't miss a word. He told Lin Yi. What? You're saying that Yu Xiaoka is going to save the male thief? Lin Yi's eyes widened. He didn't know what to say. However, Xiaoka's words made Lin Yi's heart sour. There is a kind of love called going through thick and thin together regardless of personal safety. Love at first sight, like a moth flying into a flame. This was the love between Xiaoka and the male thief. The two had gone through life and death together in the tomb. Robber's protection made Xiaoka fall in love with him at first sight, which was why she was throwing herself at him like a moth. Fire. She knew she couldn't do it, but she still did it. This was proof of Xiaoka's thoughts. Yeah, big brother Lin Yi, can you help her? Xiao Ken was a little worried. He was afraid that Lin Yi would also. He liked Yu Xiaoka, but he knew that Yu Xiaoka would be unhappy if she liked someone else, so he just left her alone. But she couldn't lie to Lin Yi either. This silly girl is really. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Rob the execution ground? She thought it was ancient. What about TV dramas? Easy for you to say. Yeah. Then what should we do? Xiao Ken didn't know what Lin Yi really meant, so he could only keep quiet. She asked. All right, leave it to me. I'll go help her. However, don't tell anyone about me helping her. I may help her secretly. Lin Yi pondered for a moment and said to Xiao Ken. Okay. Xiao Ken was stunned. What does Linny mean? Doing a good deed without leaving your name? Or actually he liked Sister Xiaoke too. He didn't want Sister Xiaoke to know that he was helping Sister Xiaoke to save Brother Xiaoke. Love rival? But no matter what, it was a good thing that Linny agreed. Xiao Ken's request to Linny, he agreed without hesitation. Alright then, it's settled. Linny said. Go back, I'll definitely let Sister Xiaoke return to the orphanage safely. Alright, it's settled then. Linny couldn't just ignore this matter. Yu Xiaoke went to save the male thief, but the male thief still died. Linny, the real male thief, died a long time ago. What was the point of saving him? The people locked up in the detention center were the couple's accomplices. The news didn't explain it in detail. After letting Xiao Ken get out of the car, Linny didn't go straight to the detention center. Instead he went home first. From the warehouse he took out the male thief's mask and rushed to the detention center. Near the detention center, Linny put on the male thief's mask. After parking the car he put on the male thief's mask and got out of the car. Linny had the experience of being an assassin before, so it was easy for him to know where to hide in a terrain. Hiding and observing movements were Lin Yi's expertise. According to Lin Yi's initial observation, he quickly confirmed that there were two possible locations for Yu Xiaoke to hide in. Two possible locations for Yu Xiaoke to hide in. Lin Yi speculated based on his own situation. If he were Yu Xiaoke, where would he hide? Therefore he easily came to these two conclusions. Yu Xiaoke hid on the right side of the detention center, on top of a big tree. This was a good hiding spot. The lush branches and leaves could not only hide from the surveillance cameras, but also allow Yu Xiaoke to easily see the movements in front of the detention center. But even so, Yu Xiaoke was still very depressed. Because when Yu Xiaoke arrived here, she felt that she was very small. Just now there were already more than 10 police cars entering the detention center, and they were also fully armed. Just now there were already more than 10 police cars entering the detention center, and there were also fully armed cars leading the way. In this situation Yu Xiaoke wanted to rely on her own strength to steal away one person. That was simply a pipe dream. Not to mention the fully armed escort team. Even if Yu Xiaoke could hide from these eyes, and chase, it would be extremely difficult to find the car with the male thief in it. Finding the car with the male thief in it out of so many cars was an extremely difficult task. She couldn't just open every car to take a look, right? If that happened, Yu Xiaoke would have been caught or beaten to death. Sigh, this is so depressing. Yu Xiaoke, that Linny was right about you. Your skills are really mediocre. You really hate yourself when you're weak. Yu Xiaoke muttered to herself. She said, if you know that you're weak, you can just fight more normally. A low voice came from behind Yu Xiaoke. It was a low male voice. It's not that easy. Duh. Yu Xiaoke replied subconsciously, but she was shocked. He was startled and nearly fell from the tree. Why was there someone talking? Wasn't she the only one on the tree? Since when was there another person? What? Xiaoke turned around in fear, only to see a masked man. But this masked man didn't scare Yu Xiaoke anymore. Instead, Yu Xiaoke was surprised and happy. Me what? Linny asked. Shouldn't you be in there? Yu Xiaoke pointed at the guard not far away. So, she rubbed her eyes in surprise and looked at Linny again. Am I mistaken? You're really a male thief? Target equals undercommit. Chapter 1682. Does the flying sparrow have amnesia and forgot about me so quickly? Linny joked. Why would I go there? Didn't they say that the gang of the burglar couple had been wiped out? Xiaoke could confirm after hearing Lin Yi's words that the person in front of her was the male thief she liked. Let's not talk about me first. What are you doing here? Linny asked. No pop-up window, Chi. I'm just here to take a look. Xiaoke's face reddened. She didn't dare to say that she was here to rob the execution ground. That would be too arrogant. What are you looking at? You heard that I was caught and you want to save me? Linny looked at Xiaoke with a smile that wasn't a smile, but with the mask on, Xiaoke couldn't see Lin Yi's expression. Xiaoke's face reddened even more as Linny hit the nail on the head. I just wanted to see if there was a way. Then why did you come here? I heard that you wanted to save me, so I came to save you. Linny said honestly, don't do something like this next time. I'm fine, don't worry. I'm nervous. Xiaoke wasn't convinced by Lin Yi's words. You save me every time I want to do something for you. Go take care of the orphanage, the children there need you. Don't do something like this again. I just happened to know this time, and if I didn't come, the consequences would be unimaginable. Linny said, don't do something so impulsive in the future. You didn't appear after that and I couldn't contact you? Xiaoke looked at Lin Yi and said stubbornly, if you visit me every once in a while then I won't come anymore, right? Lin Yi looked at Xiaoke speechless. Xiaoke's request really put Lin Yi in a difficult position. If it weren't for the fact that he had no other choice, Lin Yi wouldn't have picked up the identity of the male thief and appeared in front of Xiaoke. The male thief was a thing of the past. He was a fragment of Xiaoke's memory, a memory that would never appear again. However, Lin Yi had no choice but to appear. Lin Yi didn't want to appear in front of Xiaoke as Lin Yi. He couldn't just run over and tell Xiaoke that he was the male thief and that the male thief was fine, right? Not only would that ruin Xiaoke's beautiful dream, but it would also bring him trouble. Xiaoke seemed to be unhappy with Lin Yi, so Lin Yi thought about it for a long time and decided to use the identity of the male thief to persuade Xiaoke. It was more convincing, and this was also why he told Ken to keep it a secret. Otherwise, if Xiaoke went back and Ken said that he was the one who looked for him, with Xiaoke's intelligence, she wouldn't be able to figure out the connection. I can't appear. Lin Yi sighed and rejected Xiaoke's suggestion. I have my own life. In this world, other than the identity of the male thief, I have another identity. I've already washed my hands of the male thief identity, and I don't want to break my peaceful life. Then, can you tell me who you are in real life? Xiaoke asked carefully. We only met in the tomb and the one you like is the male thief in the tomb. It's not the me in real life. Lin Yi said, if you knew who I am in real life there would be a huge psychological gap. It's better to keep a bit of mystery and maintain a beautiful image. I won't. The one I like is you, no matter what you look like in real life I like you. Xiaoke said, I've washed my hands of the criminal world as well so we're equal now. Ha. Lin Yi smiled, since you've washed your hands of the criminal world, then forget about the past. Just pretend that the male thief is dead. But, you're not dead and you appeared in front of me again. Xiaoke suddenly said, right, you're afraid that your girlfriend will find out if I find you after knowing your identity, right? You can say that. Lin Yi didn't answer Xiaoke's question directly. You can say that. That's it? Xiaoke was a little disappointed. Don't worry, I won't disturb you. I just want to know who you are, and if I can see you once in a while, I'll be at ease knowing that you're safe. Forget about that. Lin Yi didn't agree to Xiaoke's suggestion in the end. I'll leave first, you should go back too. You're leaving? You're not going to care about your underlings? Xiaoke paused. Underlings? I've washed my hands of the criminal world already, and I have nothing to do with them. Lin Yi smiled bitterly in his heart. Underlings? These people were sent to prison by him and Lingshan, and they were underlings. Oh. Xiaoke nodded. Then I'll go with you? Go back, perhaps you'll be able to catch up to me next time. Lin Yi turned around and disappeared into the night, not taking a single leaf with him. Xiaoke rubbed her eyes, shocked. No way? So fast? But no matter what, Xiaoke was still in a very good mood. She was a little disappointed that the male thief didn't reveal his true identity, but the fact that he was here for her meant that he still cared about her. Last time, the male thief had said that he wouldn't appear as the male thief ever again, but this time he still did. Xiaoke was confident that in the near future she would be able to meet him again. With that thought, Xiaoke was filled with confidence once more. She quickly jumped down from the tree and ran towards the orphanage. Since Lin Yi was fine, the other members of the couple had nothing to do with Xiaoke. Naturally, she wouldn't stay here anymore. Xiao Ken let out a breath of relief when he saw Xiaoke return to the orphanage. It seemed like Lin Yi really did keep his promise and let Xiaoke return safely. Xiao Ken wanted to ask about Lin Yi, but he remembered the promise he made with Lin Yi. Lin Yi said that he would help Xiaoke sis in the dark, so he didn't ask. He was a man of his words, and since he promised Lin Yi, he wouldn't say anything. He was a little surprised. Xiaoke sis, you're back? Did you successfully see the male thief? Yes, I saw him. Xiaoke nodded excitedly. I saw him and he wasn't caught. I don't know where he heard that I was coming to save him. So he came to stop me. That's not right, how did he know? Chapter 1683. Xiaoke was immersed in the joy of reuniting with the male thief, and didn't think about the details, but now that she was back at the orphanage and calmed down, she felt that something wasn't right. She only told Xiao Ken about this, so how did the male thief know? Male thief? He went to stop you? Xiao Ken paused. He thought that Lin Yi had helped Xiaoke, but he didn't think that the male thief would appear in front of her personally. This meant that the male thief hadn't been caught, and this male thief seemed to be someone Lin Yi found? After all, he had asked Lin Yi for help, and then the male thief appeared right after. He wouldn't believe that it had nothing to do with Lin Yi. Yeah, how did he know that I went to the execution? Xiao Ken, did you tell anyone about me? Xiaoke frowned as she looked at Xiao Ku. Xiao Ken didn't know what to say. He promised Lin Yi that he wouldn't tell anyone, but he was curious, what did the male thief look like? He still looked the same, wearing a mask. Xiaoke said, what's wrong? Oh, then what is he wearing? Xiao Ken suddenly had an inexplicable premonition in his heart. He was wearing a normal white shirt, beige pants. What's wrong? Xiaoke recalled what the male thief was wearing and said, You didn't see him before, did you? Xiao Ken's eyes widened after hearing Xiaoke's words. It couldn't be, right? White shirt, beige pants. Wasn't that what Lin Yi was wearing? Xiao Ken had a good memory, so he remembered it clearly. Could it be that the male thief that Xiaoke saw was Lin Yi in disguise? That didn't seem right. Xiao Ken shook his head inwardly. How could Lin Yi have the male thief's mask? How could he know what the male thief's mask looked like? He didn't even know what the male thief's mask looked like. Sister Xiaoku had never told him about it. Xiao Ken naturally wouldn't repeat it to Lin Yi. Then where did Lin Yi's mask come from? Was the male thief Lin Yi? Or could it be that Lin Yi knew the male thief from the start, and so he pretended to be him to stop Xiaoke from coming back? But if that was the case, then there were still two suspicious points. First, since the male thief was the one Xiaoke liked, she should have a deep impression of him. Wouldn't she be able to tell if someone was pretending to be him? Secondly, where was Lin Yi going to find the male thief's mask in such a short time? If that was the case, then the only possibility left was that Lin Yi was the male thief, or that Lin Yi knew the male thief and could find him to stop Xiaoke. However, these two possibilities were a little too unbelievable. But that didn't mean it was impossible, and Ken was leaning towards the first guess. Could it be that Yu Xiaoqiao was wearing the same clothes as Lin Yi? I haven't seen it before. But when you left, I think I saw someone wearing the same clothes following you. I wanted to warn you, but you guys ran too fast and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Xiao Ken had no choice but to lie. I thought I was seeing wrongly. I didn't think that it was the male thief. You followed me? Then he must have heard our conversation. Could it be that he guessed that I would go save him after seeing the news, so he came here early? Xiaoke didn't know what was going on. It was a small possibility, but it was the only explanation that made sense. I don't know either. Xiao Ken's heart was in turmoil. It couldn't be this coincidental, right? Lin Yi was the male thief. It seemed that she'd made the right call and found the right person. And Xiaoke sis didn't seem to have any feelings for Lin Yi? It's fine. Go back to your work. Since there's nothing else, there's no need to give the letter to the dean. Oh, okay. Xiao Ken ran out of Xiaoke's room as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. He felt bad lying in front of Xiaoke, so he had to leave as soon as possible so that he could relax. When Lin Yi returned to the villa, Faubert had just returned as well. Lin Yi hadn't been home these days, and it was Faubert and Qintian protecting Mengyao and Yushu. Qintian used to be alone, but he was afraid that something like the exam would happen again, so Faubert would come back every night. Today Lin Yi was back. Faubert didn't know about it, so he went back to the villa after sending Pingzhan home. When Faubert parked his car, Lin Yi's car was parked right beside Faubert's. You're back? Faubert saw Lin Yi and said happily, Yao Yao and Shu missed you a lot, come in? Haha Faubert, I came back a while ago but I had to go out for a while. Lin Yi smiled, they've seen me already. I see you've seen them already. Faubert nodded, these two missed you a lot. Since you've seen them, let's go in together. Wait for me, I'll take out some food from the car. It turned out that Faubert had bought some fast food. Lin Yi wasn't home, so there was no one to cook for Yao Yao and Shu. Sometimes, Faubert had to accompany Pengzhan to socialize, so he couldn't deliver food to them every day. As a result, they had to rely on fast food to survive. Lin Yi and Faubert walked into the villa together. Mengyao and Yushu had already washed up and were about to sleep. They didn't have much to do these days, so they slept early at home. Seeing Lin Yi walk in, Yushu said sleepily, Shield bro, you're back. I still want to listen to your stories, but I'm so tired. Then we'll talk about it tomorrow. Lin Yi smiled, there's no rush. You and Yao Yao can rest first, I have something to discuss with Faubert. Yushu was a little disappointed. I was hoping Shield bro could coax me to sleep. Alright Shu, Lin Yi just came back. If he has something to discuss with Faubert, then it must be important. Let's go to sleep first, don't disturb him. Mengyao thought about it more than Yushu. Lin Yi already said that he didn't know martial arts when he talked about what happened at House Tang, and that it was all made up. He should be studying martial arts with Faubert right now, so Mengyao naturally wouldn't disturb him. Okay. Yushu nodded with a yawn before getting dragged upstairs by Meng Yao in a daze. Chapter 1684. Is there something you need from me? Faubert was a little confused. He didn't know why Lin Yi was looking for him so seriously. Faubert, you used to be an Earth class, right? Lin Yi asked. Yes, before I lost my strength I was an Earth class. Faubert sighed as if reminiscing about the past, a look of melancholy on his face. I don't know when I'll be able to recover my peak strength. But even if I do, I don't know who my enemies are. Don't worry, Faubert, the truth will come to light one day. Lin Yi consoled, as long as you're here there's hope. I'm still leveling up and you'll level up with me. When we reach Sky Class, the day we get our revenge won't be far. Yeah, it's good that you're still here, but I'm the only one left. My wife, my daughter, and my Shifu. They're all gone. Faubert was a little helpless and unwilling. I thought I'd let it go, but ever since you raised me to Mystic Early Phase, I couldn't suppress the fire of vengeance in my heart. I knew that one day I might have to step on this path. I'm really sorry, maybe in the near future I won't be able to fulfill my promise to take care of Yao Yao and the others for the rest of their lives. They and Mr. Chu's safety will have to depend on you. Look at what you're saying, isn't it just revenge? What's the big deal? When I can raise you to Sky Class I'll be Sky Class 2 and the people around me will be Sky Class 2. Lingshan, Yutian, Qintian and Xiao we have 6 Sky Class Masters. Even an ancient sect wouldn't have such a strong lineup. Wouldn't it be a piece of cake for us to wipe out your enemy then? Lin Yi comforted Li Fu nonchalantly after hearing the words. You're right. Uncle Fu nodded his head. At that time, with so many Heaven Stage experts, they will be able to eliminate my enemy. Hearing you say that, I am relieved and have regained a lot of confidence. Right. Why are you asking about this all of a sudden? Faubert realized that Lin Yi wouldn't bring this up for no reason. Actually, I wanted to ask you, do you know anything about martial arts? Lin Yi asked. Martial arts? Earth class martial arts? Of course I know this. For cultivators, the Earth class is a watershed. The Golden class can only be considered as the beginning, and the Mystic class can be considered as a small achievement. But only when you reach the Earth class can you be considered to have truly stepped onto the path of cultivation. Uncle Fu said, only when you reach the Earth class can you be considered a true cultivator. Martial techniques are their battle skills, and they have quite a bit of an advantage over Mystic and Yellow class. This is also the reason why the Hidden House Arbitration Association restricted Earth class from appearing in the common world. If they really fought, Mystic and Golden class would be no match for them. So that's how it is. Then, Faubert, do you have any martial skills? Lin Yi asked, or, in other words, do you have any powerful martial skills? Of course I've practiced martial skills. Why are you suddenly asking about this? Could it be that you've already? Faubert wasn't stupid. After listening to Lin Yi's words, he was able to come to a conclusion. He looked at Lin Yi in shock. That's right. I'm already at the early stage of Earth class. Lin Yi smiled as he revealed his Earth class strength to Faubert. I didn't expect that, you actually broke through. Although Faubert knew that Lin Yi would definitely break through one day, he didn't expect it to be this fast. Before, when Lin Yi was at home, he had been looking for an opportunity to break through. However, after being poisoned by the 5-step powder, it became even more hopeless. From Faubert's point of view, Lin Yi could only wait until the antidote was removed. That would have to wait until next year. However, he didn't expect that Lin Yi was already in Earth class when he came back. Luckily, I had no choice but to eat the chi-gathering pill. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. It's a bit of a waste to eat it, but it's still useful. You ate the chi-gathering pill? Faubert was stunned. Don't tell me you don't know about the drawbacks of the chi-gathering pill? Faubert didn't expect Lin Yi to directly eat the chi-gathering pill as an opportunity to break through. This shocked him. Before, Lin Yi said that he got a chi-gathering pill. Faubert didn't pay much attention to it. After all, it was a pill for the peak of the late stage of Earth class to break through to Heaven class. For Lin Yi, it was still too far away, so Faubert didn't say much about it. However, he didn't expect that Lin Yi had already taken it without permission. This made Faubert surprised and regretful. When he was young, he also heard about the chi-gathering pill. However, his master told him about the drawbacks of the chi-gathering pill. It's just that the drawbacks were not this drawbacks for Faubert. It was also because Faubert's sect was looking for the chi-gathering pill with great fanfare that it attracted the suspicion of other sections. Therefore, the treasure was exposed and the sect was destroyed. I know, it's just that after eating it, it'll be difficult to cultivate again. Now the natural world's spiritual energy is too thin. It's not as pure as the chi in the chi-gathering pill. Therefore, after taking the chi-gathering pill, it's instinctive to reject the qi in the natural world. It's impossible to continue cultivating in the natural world. Lin Yi said. Yes, it's like a barbarian eating raw meat. After eating cooked food, it's hard to swallow raw meat. It's the same principle. Falbert nodded and said, since you know, why did you still eat the qi gathering pill? Don't you want to continue breaking through from Earth class? I'm different from others. Lin Yi smiled. I have my own way of cultivation. After listening to Lin Yi's words, Falbert was slightly stunned. Although he was curious, he didn't ask further. In the past, he also had that treasure, so he didn't have the drawbacks of taking the qi gathering pill. However, this treasure brought disaster to his sect. Therefore, after listening to Lin Yi's words, Falbert didn't ask further. You want to learn martial arts? But martial arts are generally compatible with the Heart Sutra. When you cultivate the Heart Sutra, don't you have a martial art that goes with it? Falbert asked curiously. Although some profound martial arts are also universal, if you don't have the corresponding Heart Sutra, even if you can learn it, it will be very difficult. Therefore, generally, every Heart Sutra has several corresponding martial arts. This is the essence of the predecessors. My Heart Sutra combined with the martial arts may not be suitable for your Heart Sutra. Chapter 1685. There's such a thing? Lin Yi was taken aback. He picked up his practitioner's arts from the cave, and other than a jade pendant and the first stage of the art of dragon mastery, he didn't have any other martial arts manuals. As a result, he didn't know what martial arts manuals were at all, and he'd almost gotten himself into a huge disadvantage. Heart Sutra? Don't tell me you don't have one? Seeing Lin Yi's surprised look, Falbert was also surprised. Not at the moment. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. My master practices differently from me, and the mantra I practice is not similar to others, so I don't have any martial techniques for now. I can only remember one type of martial skill, which is the one I practiced myself. However, it's only the first 3 moves. I haven't had the time to practice the rest. As for the martial skill manuals, they're all in the sect's scripture pavilion. They're long gone. Uncle Fu smiled bitterly. If you want, I can teach you. Only 3 forms? And I don't even know if I can practice them. Lin Yi sighed helplessly. Not to mention if he could practice Falbert's martial technique, even if he could, only 3 forms was a little too little. But now Lin Yi had no other choice. Although Lin Yi guessed that there should be a martial technique that went with the art of dragon mastery, Lin Yi didn't have it in his hands. And whether there was one behind the 2nd floor, Lin Yi didn't know either. If there wasn't, when the 3rd door would open was unknown. So Lin Yi was desperate. Since he had Falbert's martial technique, he might as well try it out. As long as it wasn't a martial technique that was soft and gentle like the Ice Palace, then Lin Yi could still try it out. But the Ice Palace martial technique was the polar opposite of Lin Yi's mantra. If he forced himself to practice it, he might go crazy. Holy Church, I'll spend the next 2 days recalling and sorting out the martial skills. You can give it a try. Falbert said, it's been too long since I've used martial skills. I'm a little emotional. I'm an Earth class master now. If you want, I can help you increase your strength right now. Lin Yi suddenly thought that if he could raise Uncle Fu to Earth class as well, then wouldn't it be easier for him to learn from Uncle Fu himself? Wouldn't it be easier and easier to understand than learning from the boring text? It can still be improved? Falbert's eyes suddenly lit up. Then he was filled with the flames of hope. Earth rank, that was the temptation of Earth rank. Once Falbert recovered his Earth rank, it would be equivalent to returning to the peak of his life. In that case, he would be one step closer to his dream of revenge. It should be possible. Lin Yi said, by the way, have you recovered your strength while I was away? Recently? Right, if you hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten about that. At this point, Falbert's face suddenly turned serious. I was wondering before. Ever since you helped me increase my strength, it's as if I don't absorb the heaven and earth spiritual qi in the natural world. When I practice for myself, there's no progress at all. No progress at all? Lin Yi was slightly taken aback, but then he thought of something very important. That was, since the qi-gathering pill contained a large amount of pure qi, people who used it would be repelled by the heaven and earth spiritual qi in the natural world. Then the energy in his body was even purer than the qi-gathering pill. After others used his own energy, wouldn't they be repelled by the heaven and earth spiritual qi in the natural world? After using the qi-gathering pill, Lin Yi realized that it didn't affect the absorption of the energy in the jade space at all. This proved that the energy in the jade space was the purest, and even the qi-gathering pill couldn't compare to it. That explained what Falbert was talking about. All of a sudden, Lin Yi remembered something Lingshan said before. It seemed that Lingshan was in a similar situation as well. After her strength was forcefully increased by Lin Yi, there was no effect when she practiced. At the thought, Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly. It seemed that the energy being too pure was a drawback as well. These people had received his favor, but at the same time there was a huge drawback. When they leveled up, they had to rely on Lin Yi to help them break through. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to make any progress on their own. However, he had also absorbed the pure energy in the space of the jade pendant, so the energy in the chi gathering pill was not very pure. From this, he could tell that if the difference in the purity of the energy was not too big, it would not be a problem. If the difference was too big, it would be a problem. The heaven and earth spiritual chi in the ancient times was abundant, and the drawback of the chi gathering pill didn't exist. Now that the heaven and earth spiritual chi was getting thinner and thinner, the drawback was getting more and more obvious. The chi you gave me? Faubert seemed to have thought of this as well. Lin Yi had said that there wouldn't be any drawbacks after using the chi gathering pill. That meant that the chi Lin Yi got was even purer than the chi in the chi gathering pill. And so, after Lin Yi's chi went into Faubert's body, Faubert started to reject the heaven and earth spiritual chi. No matter how much he trained, he wouldn't make much progress. You thought of it too. Lin Yi nodded and said, the chi I gave you should be about the same as the chi gathering pill. It's both very pure, so it caused the same drawback as the chi gathering pill. It seems that in the future only I can help you level up, or you can use the chi gathering pill to level up. That's the only way. Faubert smiled bitterly and said, but this way I don't have to waste any effort. I can just sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor. With you leveling up in front, I can just follow behind. I can break through and level up effortlessly. This is really... Originally, when Faubert was in his own sect, he had the help of that precious treasure, so he thought that leveling up was very fast. It was like opening a cheat and opening a cheat, so it was much easier than others. But now, until he met Lin Yi, Faubert finally understood what a real cheat and cheat was. Lin Yi was much more powerful than the precious treasure of his own sect. Even with the help of that precious treasure, he still had to train hard in order to achieve anything. But with Lin Yi, he didn't need to do that at all. He just had to sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. Lin Yi could be said to be much more important than that precious treasure. If this matter were to spread, it was estimated that a living person like Lin Yi would become a target for all the major sections. Of course, if Lin Yi had great strength, then he would become a powerful person who was even more sought after than the profession of alchemist, and would be respected by others. Chapter 1686. But, if he wasn't strong enough and was captured and used as a leveling machine, that wouldn't be good. Lil E, it's best not to reveal this ability of yours to people you don't know. This ability of yours is a priceless treasure. Faubert said solemnly, an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. Back then I was the best example. Faubert, don't worry, I naturally won't let people I don't know about this ability of mine. The only people I can help are those I'm very close to and close to. Lin Yi said, it's getting late, shall we start now? Faubert nodded solemnly and sat cross-legged in front of Lin Yi. With the previous experience, Faubert was no stranger to Lin Yi helping him increase his strength. Lin Yi held onto Faubert's meridians and entered the space of the jade, channeling the art of dragon mastery. Faubert, on the other hand, started channeling his Nigong. Immediately Lin Yi's boundless chi surged over, lifting Faubert's spirits. It wasn't the first time either of them increased their strength, so it was a walk in the park for them. Faubert quickly channeled his Nigong and channeled the chi from Lin Yi for his own use. Peak early phase, mid-phase, peak mid-phase. Faubert's forehead was dripping with sweat. Although this was a way to sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor, the speed was too fast and Faubert was having trouble digesting it. It was like force-feeding a duck, making Faubert very tired. Although it was hard, Faubert's heart was filled with excitement and joy. He had been training for so long and was still in the early phase of the mystic class, but as soon as Lin Yi came back, he raised his strength all the way up, directly breaking through several barriers that were extremely difficult for others. For normal practitioners, raising their strength by one level was already a very difficult thing. Even if Lin Yi invented several ways to break through, it was still extremely difficult and tiring, not to mention others. The journey was smooth from mid-phase peak to late phase peak. But when he got here, Faubert's strength suddenly stopped. But this was what Lin Yi had foreseen. Every time he leveled up, he could only raise the person's strength to late phase peak, which was one level lower than his own. If he didn't use any special methods, then this would always be the case. But Lin Yi wasn't worried. Lin Yi invented the method of compressing qi and successfully made Lingshan, Yuqian, Qintian, and Falbert break through from golden late phase peak to mystic early phase, so when Falbert reached late phase peak, Lin Yi stopped the energy transfer when he was just a little bit away from mystic late phase peak. He wanted to take a short break and then send a compressed chi bag over, letting Falbert break through to Earth class. Rest for a while and then I'll compress chi to help you break through. This process should be very painful, just like when you broke through from golden late phase peak to mystic early phase. Lin Yi said. It's okay, I can hold on. Falbert nodded. This little pain is nothing compared to the increase in strength. Even if it's 10,000 times more painful, it'll be worth it. Falbert wasn't being humble, he was speaking the truth. If someone else could increase their strength by this much, not to mention this little pain, it would be worth it even if they had to stay in the hospital for a year and a half. Okay, let's continue. Lin Yi nodded and started to compress chi. Lin Yi was very familiar with the amount of energy needed to break through from mystic late phase peak to Earth class early phase, but since Lin Yi was already in Earth class early phase, Lin Yi had calculated the amount of chi needed. So, to ensure that Falbert could break through in one go, Lin Yi compressed the exact amount of energy this time. The next moment, Lin Yi sent the compressed chi into Falbert's body, and Falbert's face flushed red. His body made a loud bang and with a scream, he fell to the ground, sweating profusely from the pain. Falbert moaned in pain as if he was severely injured. Falbert, how are you? Lin Yi was startled, he didn't expect this to happen. He quickly put his hand on Falbert's meridians and checked, only to find that more than half of Falbert's meridians were damaged. No wonder Falbert was in so much pain, it would be weird if he wasn't in pain with more than half of his meridians damaged. But, why would Falbert's meridians be damaged and not directly break through to Earth class? Suddenly, Lin Yi remembered what happened after he was poisoned. After he was poisoned, he tried to increase his strength to mystic late phase peak, and then tried to compress chi to break through, but it failed. Compressing chi didn't help him break through, and instead, it caused his meridians to explode. And before that, when Lin Yi broke through from mystic late phase to mystic late phase peak, he also tried to compress chi, but it also ended in failure. Thinking about this, Lin Yi finally understood why Falbert was injured. It turned out that compressing chi was no longer effective for mystic late phase peak to Earth class. His meridians couldn't handle the consequences of releasing the compressed chi in an instant, and it was directly damaged. And before, Lin Yi helped Falbert raise his strength from mystic early phase to mystic late phase peak, and there were no obstacles in between, so Lin Yi neglected this point. Or, it could be said that Lin Yi thought that this method didn't help him break through, but it was helpful to forcefully increase the strength of others. But the result was still a failure, and this made Lin Yi a little annoyed. Falbert's damaged meridians weren't a big deal, and Lin Yi channeled the art of dragon mastery on the spot to help Falbert repair his damaged meridians. But what Lin Yi was worried about now was that he couldn't raise others to Earth class. Lin Yi's plan was to bring Lingshan, Qin Yutian, and Wu Qintian to the Noble House meeting, but now it seemed that this dream couldn't be realized. Mystic late phase peak was already a top existence in the Noble House meeting, but for a hidden Noble House, it was still too weak. Chapter 1687. The Noble House meeting was already in the bag for Lin Yi, but Lin Yi's eyes were on the hidden House Yu and House Zhao. If he touched the common House Yu, would the hidden House Yu come out to help? As the in-laws of the hidden House Yu and his enemy, would the hidden House Zhao come out as well? This was what Lin Yi was worried about the most. If Lin Yi had Lingshan, Qin Yuyao, Wu Qingyao and Falbert for Earth-class fighters, then it would be quite a shock to the hidden House Yu. At the very least, they would have to think about the consequences before touching him. As long as it wasn't their Sky class, then Lin Yi and the others had the strength to fight. Falbert's meridians were fixed by Lin Yi. Falbert let out a long breath and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Didn't break through? Failed? Should we try again? I can hold it in, it's fine, even if I fail, I can still fix it. Falbert saw the disappointment in Lin Yi's eyes and asked. No pop-up window, there's no need to try, this won't work. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I've tried this before, trying to break through on my own, but I failed. It seems like the meridians of a mystic have a limit, they can't handle such a huge amount of compressed energy. Mystic late phase peak, I'm satisfied. Falbert stretched his arms. To be honest, from the moment I was crippled to the moment I started practicing physical arts, I never thought that one day I would become a mystic late phase peak. Falbert, you don't have to comfort me, I'm just a little disappointed. Lin Yi said, but it's nothing late phase mystic then, it's about time. You rest first, I'll go back and think of something else. Okay, then you should rest early too. Falbert saw that Lin Yi was unwilling and didn't want to give up, so he didn't say much. After returning to his room, Lin Yi immediately entered the Jade space and discussed with Jiao Yazi about breaking through from Mystic Late Phase Peak to Earth class. You've tried it so many times and I've been watching from the side. If there was a way, why wouldn't I tell you? Jiao Yazi rolled his eyes and said, I don't have any other way, unless you become an alchemist and refine a chi-gathering pill for them. Isn't that the same as not saying anything? I haven't even crossed the threshold of an alchemist yet, and I'm still refining pills. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Ever since I got to Earth class, I've clearly felt the difference between me and the others. People with sex and families really are different. I've been trying to figure things out on my own, but the people from the other clans and families have been training and preparing for this. But you have the Jade Pendant and they don't. Jiao Yazi said. That's true. Lin Yi nodded. This was the only thing he was proud of and his final trump card. It was a secret that couldn't be revealed. Don't worry too much, the 5-year full moon is coming. When you open the second level of the stone door, perhaps you'll have an unexpected reward. Jiao Yazi said. I can only place my hopes on that. Lin Yi said. Since Elder Jiao couldn't think of a way, Lin Yi had to think of a way himself. Lin Yi trained in the Jade space as he thought of a way, but no matter how much he thought about it, he couldn't think of anything that could work. Indeed, when Lin Yi was poisoned, he'd thought of almost every possible way. Even if he thought of something now, he'd already rejected it. What other way could he come up with? If there really was a new way, Lin Yi wouldn't need to use the chi-gathering pill. The next day, Lin Yi went shopping with Mingyao, Yushu, and Tang Yun before going to Qin Yuyao's hospital. Lingshan was called to the hospital by Lin Yi as well. You're back? I heard that you went back to your hometown with Tang Yun. Lingshan didn't know the specifics. She only knew that Lin Yi had been looking for an opportunity to break through, but she didn't hear from Lin Yi for a long time. After the case of the fake Lin Yi was finally closed, she wanted to contact Lin Yi, but her phone couldn't get through. So she called Mingyao's house and found out that Lin Yi had gone back with Tang Yun. Lin Yi's phone couldn't get through, perhaps because the battery ran out, or because the Tang family's house was blocked. As for the specific reason, Lin Yi didn't know. Yeah, I just came back yesterday. Lin Yi said. How's the fake Lin Yi's case? I heard from Yao Yao that you came looking for me? It's closed. We didn't get any valuable clues. That suspect is no different from an idiot. Most of the nerves in his brain have been damaged by drugs, and after the hypnotist's instructions, he's no different from an idiot. Lingshan said helplessly. We know he's just a puppet, but we just can't find the person behind the scenes. We've got the image of the driver at the toll booth and we've done a comparison in our database, but we can't find anything similar. This person must have had plastic surgery just like that fake Lin Yi, so we don't have any information on him. Lin Yi shrugged. What Lingshan said wasn't too far off from what he'd expected. Since the enemy had such a high level of skill and methods, how could they let Lingshan find any clues and loopholes so easily? The mastermind must have hidden it a long time ago. Lin Yi guessed that it was an enemy of his that did this, but he wasn't too sure who it was. Forget it, other than those enemies of mine, there's no one else who would be able to create a fake me. Lin Yi waved his hand. But it's fine, we'll have to face these people sooner or later. Let's face the noble house meeting first. You're right. Lingshan nodded. Right, Grandpa called me a couple of times already, asking me what's going on with you Feng and me. He said that House Song's going to be very passive in the noble house meeting, but since it's a secret, I've been avoiding him. Grandpa's probably worried sick. I understand, but the situation's changed, I might not be able to help you guys get to Earth class. Lin Yi looked at Lingshan and Yu Yao, a little embarrassed. His words from before were still ringing in his ears, but he couldn't fulfill them now. To be continued, by _B_ slot. Chapter 1688. What? Lingshan and Yu Yao's faces froze. Every day they'd hoped that Lin Yi would come back and raise their strength to Earth class early phase. That way they'd be able to take the initiative in the noble house meeting and fight for a place for their house. But now that dream was shattered. They couldn't accept it. Although all of this was because of Lin Yi, and without Lin Yi they wouldn't even be Mystic early phase. But now they'd already had that dream, and they'd imagined the scene they'd be in during the noble house meeting. Suddenly saying that they couldn't do it would be a huge blow to anyone's heart. No pop-up window, but after the disappointment, Lingshan and Yu Yao thought of something more important. Lingshan looked up at Lin Yi. You didn't break through to Earth class? I did. Lin Yi sighed and channeled his practitioner's arts, showing his strength to Lingshan and Yu Yao. But I can't bring you guys to Earth class. The method from before didn't work. I tried it with Faubert last night and it didn't work. Lingshan didn't know what to say, but Lin Yi breaking through to Earth class was something worth celebrating. If Lin Yi had publicly supported House Song, then House Song would still be a part of the noble house, and their position wouldn't have changed. After all, the strongest person in the noble house meeting was only House Yu's Yu Shuaixing, a mystic late phase peak. Lin Yi was one level above him, so the situation wasn't too bad. As long as you broke through, that's fine. It doesn't matter if I get my revenge with my own hands, as long as I get my revenge, I'll be happy. Yu Yao was worried that Lin Yi would feel pressured, so after a moment of disappointment she started to persuade Lin Yi, with an Earth-class boss like you protecting us, not only can I get my revenge, but House Chen can also keep its position. This is a happy ending. Ah. Lin Yi smiled. Who said you can't get your revenge with your own hands? Revenge doesn't have to be Earth-class early phase. That Yu Feng is only a mystic mid-phase. Even if he broke through recently, he wouldn't be able to surpass mystic mid-phase peak. Mystic mid-phase? That's 2 levels higher than me. If he's at the peak of mid-phase, that's 3 levels higher. I'm only at the early phase of mystic class. How can I fight him? Qin Yuyao smiled bitterly. Instructor Eagle, you're not playing with me, are you? Ling Shan was now one of Lin Yi's close friends. Not only were they close, but they also had another close relationship, so Lin Yi wouldn't hide things from her anymore. She knew about him and Huaijuan, and naturally she knew about Yu Yao as well. Yu Yao wouldn't be too secretive in front of Ling Shan. Could it be? Ling Shan's eyes lit up as she looked at Lin Yi, pleasantly surprised. Keep talking, silly girl. Looks like you're not that dumb after all. Whether or not you can get rid of the silly girl hat will depend on your performance. Lin Yi smiled. I'm not dumb in the first place. Ling Shan rolled her eyes angrily, but she had always been a punching bag in front of Lin Yi. She didn't dare go against Lin Yi's suggestion. If she could get rid of the silly girl hat, it would be a good thing. She continued, if I'm not wrong, you won't be able to raise us to Earth class early phase, but you can at least raise our strength to mystic mid-phase peak. Not bad. Lin Yi praised as he looked at Ling Shan. You've grown some brains lately. Ling Shan pouted, feeling wronged. It's alright, but don't call me silly girl anymore, call me cute girl. Yu Yao was about to take a sip of water when she heard what Ling Shan said. She almost choked to death. Cough, cough, cough. Cute girl? That's a good title. I was going to give it to Yao Yao or Shu. Tell me first, why do you have to be at least mystic mid-phase peak? Lin Yi rejected Ling Shan's suggestion. Because you said that Yu Feng wouldn't exceed mystic mid-phase peak, and even if he was, Yu Yao bro would still be able to get his revenge. That means that you can at least raise us to mystic mid-phase peak. Ling Shan said proudly, am I right? That's right. Lin Yi nodded, your analysis is correct. Then am I still silly girl? Can I change it? Ling Shan was overjoyed. Her relationship with Lin Yi was one step closer, going from Miss Braindead to Miss Silly, and now it was going to change again. Actually, I'm basically calling you Ling Shan now. Silly girl was just joking. Don't you think that silly girl is pretty cute? Lin Yi smiled. That's true. Ling Shan nodded after some thought. That's what couples usually call each other. Then you can call me silly girl. As for Ling Shan, just call me Shan Shan. Ling Shan's a bit awkward. Alright. Lin Yi didn't need to argue with Ling Shan about things that didn't really matter. He knew what Ling Shan was thinking, but things like this were better to let nature take its course. At least for now, he didn't have the mood to do so. Then what's the highest level you can raise us to? Qin Yuyao asked impatiently after Ling Shan and Lin Yi were done flirting with each other. Mystic late phase peak. Lin Yi said, that's the limit for now. I'll think of another way to raise you guys to Earth class. Mystic late phase peak this. What's the difference between this and Earth class early phase? Qin Yuyao jumped up from his chair in shock. Before, Lin Yi said that he couldn't raise them to Earth class, and Qin Yuyao thought that he couldn't raise them at all. But now that he heard that he could raise them to Mystic late phase peak, he was overjoyed. In his eyes, Mystic late phase peak was already at the top of the noble houses. Once they reached Earth class, there would be hidden houses coming to recruit them. Of course, only House Yu had an Earth class. The other noble houses had Mystic early phase and middle phase, which was already very powerful. Like Wu Gonggao, the head of House Wu, who had Mystic mid phase, was already very powerful. As long as he didn't reach the level of a hidden house, Mystic late phase peak was already the highest level. To be continued, by slot. Chapter 1689. This was why Yu Yao was reacting like this. Earth class was too far away from him, since it was something that only existed in legends. It was too far away from the noble houses, and Mystic late phase peak was the highest level that he could see and touch. Wondrous book room? Yeah, mystic late phase peak, that's already the top of the common world's noble houses. Lingshan was surprised as well. Lin Yi's words meant that she could reach mystic late phase peak as well. Aren't your goals a little too low? Above the noble houses, there's the hidden noble houses, and above them are the ancient sects and ancient noble houses. As for what's above the ancient level, we don't know yet, but there's definitely a higher level above sky class. Don't you guys want to pursue a higher level of martial arts? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. This Ice Palace test had broadened Lin Yi's horizons a lot. In the past, Lin Yi had thought that he'd work hard to break through to sky class, but he'd never been this close to a sky class before. When he saw Crystal Candy, Qing and Elder Tang, Lin Yi realized that sky class wasn't that mysterious after all. Once upon a time, Mystic was Lin Yi's goal because the highest level that Lin Yi could see was Mystic. Later on, Lin Yi broke through to Mystic, but Earth class entered Lin Yi's sights, and now Lin Yi's goal was Earth class. And when Lin Yi became an Earth class, he realized that sky class wasn't that far away. At every stage there was a goal, but if you didn't reach that level, you'd never be able to touch that level. It was like a frog in a well. If it didn't go out, it'd always think that the sky was only as big as the well, but once it went out, the world would be different. But Ling Shan and Yu Yao's reactions were understandable to Lin Yi. Their current level of contact was limited to the hidden noble houses. Only the hidden noble houses and normal sects had direct contact with the ancient levels. It was too far away for the noble houses. Above sky class. To be honest, Lingshan never thought that she'd become a sky class one day. Lingshan's dream and goal was mystic early phase. As long as she reached that level, she'd be able to buy time for her brother to grow up and secure their position as a noble house. But just the early phase of mystic class was still a dream, an unreachable dream. The people of noble houses only trained to protect their status. They never thought about chasing after the sky class like the hidden houses, chasing after immortality. But ever since she met Lin Yi, Lingshan realized that she really was a frog in a well. The things she didn't even dare to think about were realized with Lin Yi's help, and she was about to become the strongest person in the noble house, mystic late phase peak. And that wasn't all. Lin Yi told her that she'd become a sky class one day. Lingshan was very excited. She didn't think that she'd be this lucky, meeting such a strong man. It seemed like she had to work hard. She might be a little later than Tang Yun, Meng Yao and Yushu, but she was at least one step ahead of Xiao Xiao, right? Now that Xiao Xiao was Lin Yi's small wife, she didn't even have the title of a maid. Lingshan felt that her next goal was to get a title, even if it was a lowly maid. As long as she could follow Lin Yi for the rest of her life, then sky class wouldn't be a dream anymore. With that thought, Lingshan's eyes on Lin Yi heated up once more. She'd always looked up to strength since she was young, otherwise she wouldn't have set a goal that her future husband had to be stronger than her. Now her goals seemed to have been achieved, and Lin Yi wasn't just a normal strong, he was stronger than she'd imagined. And so, after confirming that she liked Lin Yi, she lowered her standards, and the Miss of House song started to compromise. Being able to stay by Lin Yi's side was already good enough, and she didn't want Lin Yi to only have one woman by his side. There's an old saying that goes, when you're in the martial arts world, you can't do what you want. Lin Yi sighed, thinking about it, that's indeed the case. Unless you find a place to live in seclusion, you'll have to keep chasing after higher realms of martial arts, because your enemies are growing as well. If you don't move forward, what awaits you is death. You're right. Yu Yao nodded, but sky class. I never thought about it in the past. My goal was actually to surpass Sis Lingshan, and that would be the end of the world. But looking at me now, how childish was I? Even if I'm the same level as Lingshan now, I don't have any other thoughts, because my strength isn't from my own training, but from the man Sis Lingshan likes. What right do I have to chase after her? So, after thinking it through, I've realized that I should find the love that truly belongs to me, and not the obsession and fantasy I had when I was young. Ha. Lin Yi didn't know how to respond to Yu Yao's words, so he only smiled. Right, Lin Yi, I'll call you boss from now onwards. Wu Qintian calls you boss so smoothly, it's a little disrespectful for me to call you by your name. Yu Yao had wanted to say this a long time ago. Putting aside the fact that you were my instructor, now that you've helped me so much, you should be my boss. What about Shu if you call me boss? Isn't that messing up the seniority? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He knew that Yu Yao would bring this up eventually. To this, Lin Yi didn't reject it. Lin Yi wasn't one to follow rules and be humble, so when Qintian, Qikuan and Yu Bing called him boss, he agreed. But when it came to Yu Yao because of Yushu, Lin Yi still treated him like a big brother. Let's wait until she marries you first. Yu Yao smiled bitterly. It's not confirmed yet. Ahem. Yeah, what do you mean? Why are you giving your sister to Lin Yi? I didn't agree, so you're messing with me on purpose, aren't you? Ling Shan glared at Yu Yao. Ah, it's just a joke. Yu Yao smiled. Alright, call me whatever you want, it's just a name. I'll raise you guys to Mystic Late Phase Peak, and with Wu Qintian, we'll go to the Noble House meeting and get justice. It's time for House Yu to pay back their blood debt. Lin Yi smiled coldly at the thought of Armadillo. To be continued, by du_b_ slot. Chapter 1690. It didn't matter what role House Yu played in the Armadillo incident, Lin Yi wouldn't let them go. Even with the hidden House Yu's protection, Lin Yi was going to get justice. Lin Yi was a man who would protect his own people. The only ones who could come out unscathed after hurting him were House Yu. Wondrous Book Room. Lin Yi's words made Ling Shan and Yu Yao's hearts tighten. It seemed like being friends with Lin Yi was the luckiest thing that had happened to them in their lifetimes. Lin Yi was famous for his loyalty to his friends and women. Ling Shan, sis, you go first. Ladies first. Yu Yao smiled. This time it was different from breaking through to Mystic. It was just a test, so as a man Yu Yao naturally went to the front. This time, however, there was 100% chance of reaching Mystic Late Phase Peak, and so Yu Yao gave this chance to Ling Shan, letting her enjoy the pleasure of reaching Mystic Late Phase Peak first. I've already surpassed you once in my life and I'm satisfied. Yu Yao was talking about the time in the tomb when Lin Yi first raised him to Mystic Early Phase. In this life, he'd surpassed Ling Shan in that instant, and that was enough for him to let go of his grudge. Then I won't hold back. Ling Shan sat in front of Lin Yi and extended her hand to Lin Yi. Everyone was familiar with this, so Lin Yi didn't need to say much. Ling Shan was already prepared. Lin Yi didn't say much and started channeling his art of dragon mastery, sending qi into Ling Shan's body. Ling Shan frowned slightly, unable to take this amount of qi, but she gritted her teeth and persevered. There weren't many chances to level up like this. Other practitioners wouldn't even be able to level up like this, so Ling Shan didn't think that it was a big deal. Ling Shan reached Mystic Late Phase Peak without any suspense, and after her was Yu Yao. The next morning Yu Yao also broke through to Mystic Late Phase Peak. Why do I feel like I'm dreaming? Yu Yao stood up and stretched his arms. It feels completely different. Mystic Early Phase and Mystic Late Phase Peak are worlds apart. Once you break through to Earth class, you'll realize that everything will be different. Lin Yi said. Boss, I noticed that you didn't seem to be affected at all after we increased our strength. You're still full of energy, isn't it a little too amazing? Yu Yao was very surprised to see the energetic Lin Yi. One had to know how much qi was needed to level up two Mystic Early Phase practitioners to Mystic Late Phase Peak. It could be said that even if Lin Yi used up all his qi, it still wouldn't be enough. But Lin Yi did it and his strength didn't seem to be affected at all. Yu Yao bro, let's just talk about this in private. Don't let anyone else know about it, or it'll cause a lot of trouble for Lin Yi. Ling Shan reminded Yu Yao with a serious face. I understand. Yu Yao nodded solemnly and said, this is only a private conversation. How did I improve my strength? Even if you beat me to death, I won't say it. It's not that serious. If I really wanted to kill you, you'd better tell me. Lin Yi said, remember this, no matter when, life is the most important. As long as there's life, there's hope. There'll always be a chance for revenge. A real man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. A moment of bravery is just an ordinary man's bravery. Yu Yao was amused by Lin Yi's words. Of course, it doesn't matter if he's crippled. I can heal him. Lin Yi smiled. Alright, you guys get ready. I'll go back and level up Wu Qingyao as well. We need to be there before the Noble House meeting. Okay, let's get ready. Yu Yao nodded. Speaking of which, I can't hold it in anymore. I want to kill that Yufeng right now. If it wasn't for boss, I'd be crippled for life. As they were talking, Ling Shan's phone rang. She was afraid that it would affect Lin Yi's leveling up, so she turned it off. Not long after, a call came in. It was still early in the morning and she didn't know what it was. Ling Shan frowned when she saw the caller ID. It was Elder Song Xiangguen who was at home. Hello Grandpa, what's up? Ling Shan didn't have a choice, she had no choice but to pick up the phone. She couldn't leak the fact that she was going to take revenge on Yufeng, otherwise it'd be troublesome if House Yu got help from the hidden House Yu. She had to do something unexpected to achieve the effect she wanted, and so she kept brushing Elder Song off. What's up? What are you talking about? The Noble House meeting is about to start, are you coming back or not? Why don't you tell me? After you level up, does that mean I won't be your grandpa anymore? One couldn't blame Xiangguen for being angry. House Song was in an awkward position right now, and House Yu was forcing their way in. Not only did they ask Old Song if he still wanted the marriage, but they also asked Old Chen if there was anything going on between Lingshan and Qin Yuyao, turning House Chen from the victim to the one in the wrong. Of course, in a noble house, the one with the strongest fist was the one with the right. Facing House Yu, who had a strong backing, House Song and House Chen didn't dare say anything, but they knew that in this meeting young Master Gu would be the one to suffer the most. Grandpa, I'll definitely go to the noble house meeting and give you an explanation, but right now I really can't go back, Lingshan said as she looked at Yu Yao and Lin Yi. Then what's your decision on the marriage with Yu Feng? Do you agree or not? Elder Song said sternly. Grandpa, didn't I tell you already? I already have someone I like. I won't marry Yu Feng, Lingshan said firmly as she looked at Lin Yi, blushing. You child, how can you be so stubborn? Do you know what kind of consequences this decision of yours will bring to our Song family? Elder Song was pissed. House Yu's already hinted to me that if you marry Yu Feng, they'll let bygones be bygones. Of course, that's under the condition that you're still a virgin, or there'll be no way to resolve this. Then I wouldn't be a virgin a long time ago, Lingshan said. I've already met the person I like. To be continued, by Duenderskilbendersfell slot. Chapter 1691. Chapter 1692, Bad News. Lingshan thought that she wasn't lying. She and Lin Yi had met before, but that was under special circumstances. Actually, nothing had happened between the two. You. Elder Song was seething with anger. Are you telling the truth? Are you trying to kill our Song family? Why can't you think about the bigger picture? I've been supporting House Song for so many years and now it's all gone. Grandpa, I don't think I've done anything wrong, Lingshan argued. First of all, you didn't ask for my permission to get engaged and I really don't like Yu Feng. Even if I didn't have someone I liked, I wouldn't marry him. Yu Qin is my friend, my big brother. He got injured by Yu Feng and I'm still marrying him. Aren't you trying to frame me? Old Song went silent after hearing Lingshan's words. Lingshan's words weren't unreasonable and Xiangwen wasn't an old fool either. But things had come to this and there was no turning back. If Lingshan didn't marry Yu Feng, there would be no turning back. House Yu would definitely cause trouble for them in this noble house meeting. Grandpa, actually, if that's the case, we can work with House Chen to fight against House Yu. We might still have a chance, Lingshan hinted. She couldn't say anything else. House Chen, how are we supposed to work together? House Chen only has Chen Yutian and he's already a cripple. Xiangwen sighed. This time House Chen can't even take care of themselves. It's useless to ally with him. Don't think that he can escape this disaster just because he has a marriage contract with an ancient sect. We don't even know if that marriage contract is valid or not. Xiangwen sighed. Perhaps. Maybe House Chen has other allies? Lingshan said, forcing herself to continue hinting. Other allies? With House Chen's current strength, how could they have other allies? Xiangwen paused, not understanding what his granddaughter was saying. Shen, why do I feel like there's more to your words? It's nothing much. I just feel that everything has its own will. Maybe things will turn around? Lingshan said. Alright Grandpa, let's talk later. I need to work here, there's a lot of stuff going on. Song Xiangwen sighed helplessly. It looked like the Song family was definitely going to be removed from the list of aristocratic families. Lingshan shrugged after hanging up. Can't help it, I guess I'll have to hide this from Grandpa for now. Aren't I the same? Now my Grandpa has lost all hope. He's waiting for House Yu's trouble during the meeting of the noble houses. Yu Qin sighed and clenched his fist. House Yu Feng, just you wait, I'll wash away this humiliation. Don't worry, you will. Lin Yi patted Yu Qin's shoulder. I'll leave first. Alright, there's something I forgot to tell you guys. It's bad news, do you guys want to hear it? Bad news? What's the bad news? Yu Qin and Lingshan asked, shocked. I wanted to tell you guys after the meeting, but I didn't want you guys to waste your energy on useless stuff, so I decided to tell you guys now. Lin Yi said. What bad news is it? Lingshan asked. Something to do with the noble house meeting? That's not right. You said you could tell us after the meeting? The bad news is that you guys can't train on your own anymore. Lin Yi said regretfully. Can't train on our own. Lingshan paused before remembering something. You're saying that there's no use in training on our own, right? That's right, that's it. Lin Yi nodded. The energy I've transferred into your bodies is too pure, and it's causing you to reject the energy in the natural world. So, the energy in the natural world has no effect on you. Even if you continue to train, it'll be useless unless you go to a place where the energy is abnormally abundant. But it's hard to find a place like that. No wonder, so that's why. Lingshan said enlightened. I told you before that my training doesn't seem to make any progress at all, so that's why. Yes, you said it last time and I didn't pay much attention to it, but I found out later. Lin Yi said, from now on you'll have to wait for me to level up before I help you guys level up, or I'll make pills for you after I learn alchemy. Alchemy? You want to learn alchemy? Ling Shan and Yu Tian paused at the same time. They hadn't interacted with alchemists before, but they were from noble houses after all. They knew that alchemists were an extremely noble profession, and it was very rare. And Lin Yi wanted to learn alchemy? I just have the intention, but I haven't succeeded yet. Lin Yi smiled. Ling Shan and Yu Tian couldn't help but admire Lin Yi. He really had the guts to dream. Lin Yi was already strong enough right now, and if he became a refiner, wouldn't all the ancient sects have to suck up to Lin Yi? They heard that alchemists were very popular even in the ancient sects. If Lin Yi really became an elixir refiner, then the hidden houses crisis would be easily solved. He believed that at that time, there would be many ancient sects willing to stand up for Lin Yi, begging him to make elixirs for them. It doesn't matter if we train or not. We'll train for a few years on our own, and it won't be as much as what you've done in a short amount of time. So the drawback you mentioned isn't really a drawback to us. Yu Tian smiled. Boss, we'll be relying on you for the rest of our lives. Yeah, this saves me a lot of trouble. I'll just sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Ling Shan said, my dream is to find a strong man to protect me, and now that I've found one, I don't need to train anymore. I'll go back first, see you later. Lin Yi didn't reply to Ling Shan and quickly walked out of the room. Old Wu of House Wu Gonggao was in the same bad mood as Song Xiangguan. But the reason for Gonggao's bad mood was different from the two of them. Qintian was heavily injured because of Lin Yi's woman. After calling him once, there was no more news and Gonggao didn't dare call to ask. Chapter 1692. He was afraid that Qintian would take things too hard, so he resisted the urge to ask about his injury. He planned to let Qintian calm down and think things through before returning to the house. However, the noble house meeting was about to start, and no matter what, Gonggao had to give his grandson Wu Qintian a call. In the past noble house meetings, Gonggao had always brought his grandson Wu Qintian along. Qintian was his pride back then, and he was one of the stronger ones among the younger generation. No pop-up window, but this year he could only bring Qintian along. He was afraid that Qintian would feel uncomfortable, so he wanted to bring Qintian along as well. Gonggao had high hopes for Qintian, but Qintian on the other hand wasn't very fond of him. Even with Qintian's injury, Qintian still wasn't favored. He was just valued a little more by Gonggao, but he wasn't like Qintian who could spend a lot of money. His pocket money was still pitifully small. Of course, there was a reason why Gonggao didn't like Qintian. Before leaving for the noble house meeting, Gonggao called Qintian's phone. Grandpa. Qintian didn't expect his grandpa to call at this time. He'd been afraid that his grandpa would call to ask about his injury, and he really couldn't talk to him about it. Lin Yi told him to keep it a secret, so he could only keep it a secret even in front of his grandpa. But his grandpa didn't call after that, and Qintian breathed a sigh of relief. What he didn't expect was that this call would come right before the noble house meeting, and so Qintian asked carefully, Grandpa, what's up? Qintian, how have you been lately? Are you all right? Gonggao's heart ached when he heard Qintian's careful voice. He thought that Qintian had lost his strength, and was afraid of losing his love for him. Qintian, you're a physical practitioner, so don't be discouraged. It's okay if your meridians are injured as long as your hands aren't injured, you can still use House Wu's Iron Fist arts. As for your meridians, I'll get someone to ask for a meridian unblocking pill for you. Grandpa? Qintian didn't expect his grandpa to say that, and his heart ached even more. He wanted to tell Gonggao that he was fine, that he had recovered, that he was a mystic early phase, and that he was about to reach mystic late phase peak. However, his rationality prevented him from doing so. He knew that if he didn't say it now, his grandfather would only be sad for a short period of time. But if he said it, it would affect Lin Yi's important matters. All right, Qintian. Don't be sad, don't be discouraged. The noble house meeting is about to begin. Do you want to go with me? Wu Gonggao asked. Qintian didn't know how to answer. It's fine, I'll bring Wu Qindi with me this time, why don't you come too? With Grandpa here, no one will laugh at you. Gonggao said, no matter what, I'm still a mystic mid-phase and I'm one of the top of the noble houses. Thank you, Grandpa. But I won't be going for now. Qintian could only say that. All right, don't think too much and don't feel pressured. Gonggao said, then I'll hang up first. Rest well. All right. But Grandpa, don't worry, I won't let you down. I'll be your pride and remember my words. I'll do what I say. Qintian couldn't say too much, so he could only hint. I'll remember that. I'll wait for that day to come. Gong Gao smiled. It seemed like Qintian's attitude was quite good, and this made him feel at ease. He was afraid that Qintian wouldn't be able to hold on and do something extreme, but now he seemed to have regained his confidence. After hanging up, Qintian let out a breath of relief and looked at Lin Yi. Boss, come, I want to level up, I want strength. I'll shine in this noble house meeting, and let House Wu become one of the top noble houses. Come. Lin Yi smiled and put his hand on Qintian's meridians, channeling the art of dragon mastery. Qintian, on the other hand, quickly started channeling his own practitioner's arts as well. These few days, Sun Jingyi wasn't having a good time either. After House Sun found out about Qintian's injury, naturally, they didn't want to marry Sun Jingyi to Qintian anymore. The old head of House Sun had mentioned this to Gong Gao, and although Gong Gao was angry, he didn't say anything. He knew that marrying Sun Jingyi to a cripple like Qintian was making things difficult for him, and he seemed to have heard from Qintian that Sun Jingyi had an ambiguous relationship with his boss, Lin Yi, so Gong Gao didn't mind it too much. At this time, even if he couldn't marry House Sun, it wasn't a good idea to make an enemy out of them. Gong Gao's compromise made the old head of House Sun a little embarrassed, and he agreed to help Gong Gao during the meeting. As a result, Gong Gao felt that this was a good deal. He didn't mention this to Qintian at all, because Qintian had already said that he gave up on pursuing Sun Jingyi. What was the point of bringing this up? And so, Gong Gao got a great deal for free. Although Gong Gao wasn't in a good mood about Qintian's injury, he was able to keep his cool during the meeting. At first, when House Sun told Sun Jingyi about the cancellation of the marriage with Qintian, Sun Jingyi wasn't happy. After all, Qintian had already given up on her and became Lin Yi's follower, so Sun Jingyi didn't care about the marriage at all. Of course, this wasn't the main problem. The main problem was that House Sun wanted to marry Sun Jingyi off to another noble house for the benefit of House Sun. Jingyi, I've already signed up a spot for you in this year's aristocratic clan meeting. Come with me to the aristocratic clan meeting. See if there are any young talents there, and I'll help you find a husband. It was the old head of House Sun. This time, in order to get Sun Jingyi to return to House Sun, he called personally. Grandpa, I've already told my family that I have a boyfriend, someone I like. I want to live my own life, please don't force me anymore. I don't care about wealth, I just want to live a peaceful life. Sun Jingyi hesitated and refused. I don't want to be a sacrifice for the marriage. Beidender slot. Chapter 1693. Bullsh *T. You're a member of House Sun, how can your marriage be decided so casually? Besides, who said that you're a sacrifice? You're a practitioner of the first stage of House Sun's art. Do you know how important your strength is? You're the target of all the big houses. As long as you agree, you can become the young mistress of House Yu. Elder Sun panicked after hearing Sun Jingyi's words. No pop-up window, I don't want to be the young mistress, I just want to live a peaceful life. What's so good about a noble house? Didn't my parents die because of sex in noble houses? Sun Jingyi wasn't interested in her grandfather's suggestion. I just want to be a normal person and I've proven to you that I have the ability to support myself. I have my own company, my own business in a place without the influence of my family. Cough. You're trying to piss me off. Elder Sun started coughing violently after hearing Sun Jingyi's words. Grandpa, what's wrong? Sun Jingyi was shocked and asked hesitantly. Jingyi, tell me the truth. I think I'm at the end of my lifespan and I don't have many years left. Elder Sun sighed, his words filled with helplessness. So, there are some things that I have to make arrangements in advance. Otherwise, House Sun will be in danger. What? Grandpa, your body? Weren't you still very healthy the last time I saw you? Sun Jingyi hated her uncle's family. Her uncle was the one who suggested the marriage with House Wu, and her grandfather didn't force Sun Jingyi. So, although Sun Jingyi didn't like House Sun, she still had some feelings for her grandfather. When she was young, only her younger brother, Sun Yikai, and elder Sun treated Sun Jingyi well. The others thought that Sun Jingyi was an outsider, not a part of House Sunday. The last time you saw Grandpa was 2 years ago, right? Old man Sun said with a bitter smile. Sun Jingyi's heart suddenly ached. Jingyi, I've never forced you to get married. You should know that when the Wu family came to propose, I just told you to get along. I didn't promise anything. Old man Sun said, among the children of the third generation, although I won't say it, I actually dote on you the most. When you were young, you should know that when your older brother, you, and your younger brother got into trouble, I scolded them. I know. Sun Jingyi said quietly. However, you have to know that you are a child of the Sun family. This is an unchangeable fact. As for your marriage, I can give you a certain amount, but it must be an appropriate match. Old Man Sun said, the marriage between the aristocratic families is something that every family does. This can't be changed. Think about it, if you marry a man of humble origin, how can you go back to the Sun family in the future? How can you face the other aristocratic families in the future? My boyfriend is actually very powerful. Although he's not from an aristocratic family, he's still a swordsman. Sun Jingyi listened to her grandfather's words and had no choice but to use Lin Yi as a shield. No matter how powerful a swordsman is, it's useless without the support of a family. You're talking about a rogue cultivator, right? Old Man Sun said, actually, you can say that I'm overbearing or unreasonable, but I will never agree to you marrying a swordsman without any power. This is not only related to the future of the Sun family, but it's also related to your own happiness. My own happiness? I know. Besides, he's really powerful. Sun Jingyi argued. No matter how powerful he is, how powerful can he be? Could it be that he's a mystic class master? Old Man Sun asked back. You have to know that only when a rogue cultivator reaches mystic class can they barely gain the respect of the aristocratic families. However, in the eyes of the hidden houses, they're just some thugs and lackeys. Their status is far lower than the aristocratic families. So, Jingyi, just treat this as my last request before I die. I won't ask you to marry into House Yu, but you should at least marry someone from one of the aristocratic families, right? Grandpa, I think he's a mystic class master. Sun Jingyi said helplessly, besides he seems to be very skilled in medicine. Can you let him take a look at your illness? Mystic class? Old Man Sun paused. He was just saying it casually, but he didn't expect that Sun Jingyi's boyfriend was actually a mystic class master. Although a rogue cultivator of mystic class wasn't as important as a golden class master in the eyes of the hidden houses, but a mystic class master was a very powerful existence in the eyes of the aristocratic families. Old Man Sun thought even further. If Sun Jingyi's boyfriend was really a mystic class master, then if he agreed to marry into House Sun, then House Sun would gain a mystic class master out of thin air. This meant a lot to House Sun. House Sun was a family that focused on healing, so they didn't have any combat masters in the family. It was a good thing to have a combat master. This would bring more benefits than marriage with other families. Yes, he's a mystic class master. Sun Jingyi bit the bullet and said. She was talking about Lin Yi, but Lin Yi actually had nothing to do with her. If that's the case, then I'll give you a chance. Bring him back to House Sunday. If what you said is true, then let him attend the meeting of the aristocratic families with us. Having a mystic class master is also a good chance for House Sun to show our face. Old Man Sun said, of course, the premise is that he must agree to marry into House Sun. Huh? Old Man Sun's first condition was enough to put Sun Jingyi in a difficult position. Bring Lin Yi home? And to attend the meeting of the aristocratic families? Would Lin Yi agree? Now, she wanted Lin Yi to marry into House Sun Jingyi's family? She might as well just kill Jingyi and be done with it. What? You're not making it up, are you? Old Man Sun heard Sun Jingyi's puzzled voice and frowned. That's not it, it's fine to meet him. But can it wait? I don't want to make our relationship public for the time being. Besides, he won't agree to marry into House Sun Jingyi's family. After all, he's also a mystic class master. Sun Jingyi said with a bitter face. I've already given you the chance, this is my bottom line. Old Man Sun said, if he joins our House Sun, then our House Sun will increase in strength, then I can still accept it. But if he only marries you, then you'll belong to him. It's better to find a big family to marry into. Slot. Chapter 1694. I'll try. Sun Jingyi said helplessly, I'll ask him first. Okay, I'll wait for your news. But if he doesn't agree or if he's not a mystic class master, then please forget about it. Elder Sun said, Jingyi, you should know that if I leave, House Sun won't have a good life. I understand. Sun Jingyi sighed. Dukank no pop-up window, I'll wait for your news, Elder Sun said. Then, Grandpa, please take care of yourself. Sun Jingyi suddenly remembered some of her childhood memories. Although her grandpa was a domineering and strict person, although he was a bit of a male chauvinist, he was really good to her. Don't worry, although my body isn't good, I can still hold on for a year or two and watch you guys get married, Elder Sun said. Although her grandpa asking her to marry someone else seemed a bit unreasonable, he gave her a choice. It was much better than those parents who directly decided their children's marriage. But how was Sun Jingyi going to ask Lin Yi? Pretending to be a boyfriend was fine for Wu Qintian, but if she lied to her grandpa, would he be able to see through it? Sun Jingyi was very conflicted. She had no choice but to call Lin Yi. Hello. Not long after Lin Yi helped Qintian increase his strength, Sun Jingyi called. Lin Yi smiled and picked up, looking for the great thief? What? I have something urgent to talk to you about, can you come? Sun Jingyi smiled bitterly. She wasn't in the mood to joke around with Lin Yi. It was too sudden. If Lin Yi didn't agree to go back with her, what would she do? Now, Lin Yi didn't know why Sun Jingyi was looking for him so urgently, but he wanted to calm down and study martial arts. It seemed like he couldn't do that for now. Yes, now is that okay? Sun Jingyi said anxiously, it's really urgent. Okay, where are you? I'll be right there. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi weren't too close, but they were closer than normal friends. It was only because Qintian became Lin Yi's follower and stopped harassing Sun Jingyi that Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi slowly drifted apart. It's noon, let me treat you to lunch. We can talk while we eat. I know a six-taste house, it's a new chain. I heard the food is good? Jingyi asked. It's behind Songshan's first school. You'll see it when you get here, it's a big sign. Okay, I'll go now. Lin Yi replied. Lin Yi put the martial arts book on the table and said goodbye to Mengyao and Yushu before driving to the six-taste house. At the entrance of the six-taste house, Lin Yi saw Sun Jingyi's red Audi A4L. It seemed like Sun Jingyi had arrived before him. Lin Yi parked the car and walked into the six-taste house. A waiter walked over. Sir, are you alone or do you have a reservation? Before this, did a lady with the surname Sun book a private room? Lin Yi didn't know if Sun Jingyi greeted the waiter or not. May I know your name, sir? The waiter didn't answer and asked with a smile. My surname is Lin, Lin Yi said. A lady Sun Jingyi booked a private room. Sir, please come with me. The waiter confirmed Lin Yi's identity before saying. Lin Yi nodded and felt that the service of this shop was not bad. The protection of the customers was also quite in place. He followed the waiter to the door of a private room. The waiter made a pleased gesture to Lin Yi and opened the door for Lin Yi. So fast. Sun Jingyi had just arrived, and she was a little surprised to see Lin Yi arrive so soon. You said it was urgent, how can I not be fast? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why, you're not in a hurry anymore? No. But it's not that it's very urgent. Sun Jingyi was a little embarrassed. But it seems that the call of my lover is still very powerful. Lover? You still have the nerve to say that? When there's something, you treat me as a lover. When there's nothing, you don't even have a phone call. Lin Yi smiled. Moreover, I said that I'm a lover, but I didn't get any benefits at all. Until now, let alone a kiss, we didn't even hold hands. Isn't it a bit too sad? Okay, half a lover. It's just a fake, the kind of nominal. Most. If you make me fall in love with you, I can give you some benefits. Sun Jingyi looked at Lin Yi affectionately and blinked her eyes. Come on, I don't believe it. Don't lie to me. Benefits? Instead of wasting time with you, it's better to go home and hug Tang Yun. Lin Yi shrugged. He didn't fall for Sun Jingyi's temptation at all. I was fooled by you in the past. Do you expect me to be fooled again? In other words, the same trick doesn't work on practitioners. Right, what's your strength now? Sun Jingyi heard Lin Yi mention practitioners. She suddenly thought of something and quickly asked. What? Why are you suddenly asking this? After hearing Sun Jingyi's words, Lin Yi became alert. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't trust Sun Jingyi, but this was a critical time. The noble house meeting was about to begin. Lin Yi and the people around him had to be kept a secret. Otherwise, if House Yu found a hidden House Yu, it would be troublesome. And Sun Jingyi was from House Sunday. So Lin Yi had to be careful. Although Lin Yi didn't have much contact with Sun Jingyi, his instincts told him that Sun Jingyi wouldn't harm him. He was afraid that Sun Jingyi would be used by other houses. After all, Wu Qintian and Sun Jingyi's relationship was well known. If someone wanted to find out about Wu Qintian, they might start from Sun Jingyi. Lin Yi had to be careful. Of course it's useful. Just tell me when I ask. Sun Jingyi didn't notice the change in Lin Yi's expression. She flipped through the menu and said, Isn't it the same as before? Don't you know? Lin Yi asked. Mystic? Middle face? Jingyi wasn't too sure, since she didn't remember much of it. She was just surprised that Lin Yi was a practitioner as well, since House Sun's training was the unconventional type. Jingyi wasn't as sensitive to the difference in strength levels as other practitioners. And more or less. Lin Yi said ambiguously. Let's not talk about this. Why did you call me here? Chapter 1695. I heard that the dishes in the House of Six Tastes are all created by the owner himself. and it said that there aren't more than 6 seasons: soy sauce, vinegar, salt, sugar, MSG, and chili. But the taste is very good. Jingy said as she introduced the place. This place wasn't here before, it's just a chain. I've been wanting to try it for a long time, but I never had the time, there were too many things to do at the company. Jingy said as she introduced the place. You're the miss of House Sun now, why are you so tired? Linny said, how's the company? Right, Wu Chintian has a company that's dying, do you want to take it over? Everything is ready, the only thing missing is a manager. Miss Hee. Sun Jingyi's smile was sour and she changed the topic. Wu Chintian's company? I can give it to him, but is he willing? Him? Didn't he start that company just to put on an act in front of you? Did he want to attract your attention? Now that he's my follower, he doesn't want to do anything to you, so naturally the company is in ruins, Linny said. It's Xiao family, Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao, those 2 idiots. Wu Chintian doesn't care. That's good. Sun Jingyi heard that Chintian was taken in as a follower by Lin Yi, and her eyes flashed with surprise. Right, I wanted to ask you last time, why did Chintian call you boss? Is it because you're stronger than him? No matter what, Chintian was still the young master of House Wu. Even if he was crippled, there was no need for him to call a freelancer Lin Yi boss, right? And it seemed that he did it before he was crippled, and the reason he was crippled was because he was protecting Lin Yi's woman? Sun Jingyi felt that this was a little suspicious. Chintian looked a little dumb, but he was an extremely arrogant person. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, he wouldn't have lowered himself to be Chintian's follower, and he wouldn't have protected Lin Yi's woman at the cost of being crippled. Of course there's another reason. I helped him. Lin Yi didn't lie to Sun Jingyi, he did help Chintian level up. Although Lin Yi was familiar with Sun Jingyi, he still kept his guard up. Their relationship wasn't at the point where they could talk about anything. I see. Jingyi didn't ask much, since she had something important to tell him. She didn't really care about Chintian's situation. Can you pretend to be my boyfriend again? I've been pretending, haven't I? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Then can you come home with me? Sun Jingyi asked. What? Lin Yi's eyes widened and he almost jumped up. Go home? With you? Chintian was crippled and my grandpa used this reason to cancel the marriage with House Wu, but he still wanted me to marry a man from a noble house, but I told grandpa that I already have a boyfriend, and he's also a practitioner, a mystic class master. Sun Jingyi briefly told Lin Yi about her conversation with her grandpa. So? Grandpa wants to see you and he wants you to be his son-in-law? Lin Yi spat out a mouthful of tea. Going home with Sun Jingyi was enough of a headache for Lin Yi, and now he wanted to be his son-in-law? What the hell? I know this is very difficult for you, but I have no other choice. I'm helpless. Anyway, it's fake, you just have to suffer a little. Sun Jingyi looked at Lin Yi pitifully. I don't believe your expression, you're always fooling people. Lin Yi wiped his mouth and said, from the first time I saw you, you've been fooling me. Alright, I'll tell you the truth. This will bring you some trouble, but I really don't have a choice. Jingyi smiled bitterly, a lonely expression on her face. I'm actually an anomaly in House Sun, an outsider. I changed my surname to Sun, but I've never truly assimilated into the Sun family. Grandpa sympathized with my background, and treated me very well when I was young. But that made me a thorn in my uncle's side. The eldest son of the direct line of descent didn't get as much love from Grandpa as someone with an outsider surname like me, and so they wanted me to get married a long time ago, using me as a tool to benefit the family. Lin Yi had a rough understanding of Sun Jingyi's background, and seeing her true feelings, he couldn't help but sigh. Your background is very pitiful, but you don't have to pretend in front of me because I see you as a friend. Yeah, actually I'm not pretending. Sun Jingyi said, I'm just used to it sometimes, but I can guarantee that what I told you today is the truth and I'm not fooling you. Then they want you to marry Wu Chintian? Now they want you to marry someone else so you use me as a shield? Lin Yi asked. That's it. Sun Jingyi nodded. Then have you ever thought that this isn't a long-term solution? What if it's exposed? I can't always be at your beck and call, right? Lin Yi said, and as son-in-law? Even if it's fake, how can I bear it? Whether it's a son-in-law or not, I don't think it's important. Sun Jingyi said, as long as you can make Grandpa approve of you, it's fine. Approve of me? I'm just afraid that after he approves of me, the fake will become real. Lin Yi thought more because now that Lin Yi was an Earth-class master, if he really showed his strength in front of Grandpa Sun, then even if he didn't become a son-in-law, Grandpa Sun would probably be willing. But the key problem now was that the relationship between Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi was fake, it wasn't real. You still have confidence? Sun Jingyi smiled and suddenly remembered a very important thing. Right, my grandpa's body doesn't seem to be very good. Can you help him take a look? Yes, but after seeing it, I'm afraid that he will approve of me. What about the future? Have you ever thought about it? Linny asked. The future? Naturally, we'll talk about the future. If it doesn't work, then I'll just marry you, Sun Jingyi smiled. You're tricking me again, Linny said. No, I mean it, Sun Jingyi said. At least, compared to those I don't know, I'm familiar with you. Marrying you is better than marrying them. Then what about Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao? Linny asked. I'll be the eldest and they'll be the second? Sun Jingyi said, no matter what, I'm the eldest miss of House Sun, I can't be the second, right? Target equals underconnect. Chapter 1696. Ha ha ha. Linny smiled, maybe you won't say that now that you know Xiao Xiao's identity. Xiao Xiao's identity? Sun Jingyi paused. Her body is very special, and the sect master has taken a liking to her. She's going to be the next master of the Ice Palace. Linny said. What? Jingyi jumped in fright. She'd heard of the Ice Palace before and vaguely knew about the Ice Palace's trial, but that was too far away for the noble houses. The more distant it was, the more shocked she was. Feng Xiaoxiao was going to be the sect master of the ancient sect? Compared to that, her identity as the Miss of House Sun was a joke. Plus, Xiaoxiao isn't going to be the main wife, she's still the second wife. Linny said. I was just joking. Sun Jingyi felt a little down and an awkward smile appeared on her face. Plus, this news from Linny was too much of a shock to her. Xiaoxiao was the future master of the Ice Palace? Keep this a secret, don't tell anyone. Linny wanted to test Sun Jingyi's character, so he told her something that didn't seem important at the moment. Xiaoxiao's matter didn't affect Lin Yi's plan at all, and even if it got out, the hidden house you would be even more worried. But this was something that Lin Yi didn't want to do unless he had to. After all, his own strength was the most important, and using the Ice Palace as an excuse was fine. It was fine to use it once or twice to save his life, but it wouldn't be that useful if it got out. Xiaoxiao was the future master of the Ice Palace, but that was the future, she wasn't the person right now. She was just a golden class early phase and the future was full of variables. Who knew what it would be like? Moreover, Lin Yi was a person who didn't like to rely on others, especially a heaven stage girl. If Lin Yi always used her name to swindle people outside, then this girl would definitely laugh at him. Don't worry, I understand. I won't say it out loud. Jingyi nodded solemnly. But wouldn't it increase your reputation if I told people about this? Yeah, right? Lin Yi nodded. I don't want to rely on women. Lin Yi didn't explain too much. In fact, Lin Yi didn't mind relying on Xiaoxiao because she was Lin Yi's woman, but Rock Candy was different. Lin Yi didn't want to rely on her. Then, you've promised me? Sun Jingyi said, Grandpa said that he wants me to bring you to participate in the aristocratic clan assembly. I was just about to talk about that. I wanted to wait until after the aristocratic clan assembly, but since you're going too, then that's perfect. Perhaps you'll see me there. Lin Yi said, I'll go with someone else to the aristocratic clan assembly as well. Someone else? Wu Tian? Sun Jingyi asked. And? Lin Yi nodded. That's fine, then we'll meet at the aristocratic clan assembly. Sun Jingyi breathed out in relief as if a wish had been fulfilled. But you don't have to worry too much. As long as Grandpa's illness is cured, then I'll be at ease. When I leave House Sun, there won't be too much pressure. Oh? You're planning to leave House Sun? Lin Yi looked at Sun Jingyi's disappointed face and couldn't help but ask. He wasn't someone who liked to meddle in other people's business, but he liked to meddle in the business of his friends. This time, if it wasn't for Grandpa saying that his body wasn't too good recently, and that he might not be able to hold on for long, I wouldn't have agreed to this. Sun Jingyi said sadly, Sigh, I haven't been back to House Sun for almost 2 years. Who'll be in charge of House Sun in the future? Is it your brother Sun Kai, or your uncle's son? Lin Yi suddenly asked. Sun Jingyi paused, not knowing why Lin Yi would ask such a question, but she still said, That's not for sure. Until now, Grandpa hasn't said anything about letting uncle take over House Sun. Then I understand, said Lin Yi faintly. If Sun Kai takes over House Sun, will you be happier and have less pressure? And, he has a good relationship with me since we were young, said Sun Jingyi. But I still want to leave House Sunday. After this matter is over, I want to go back to my hometown and see my parents' former residence. Although it's probably ruined, I still want to go and have a look. I understand. My impression of Sun Kai is also good. Lin Yi nodded. He already had a plan in his heart. If the Sun family's old man was sensible and let Sun Yikai inherit House Sun, then in this family meeting, Lin Yi would let House Sun keep its position. As for other families that weren't close to Lin Yi, he would just let them get lost. Do you have time at that time? Can you accompany me? Sun Jingyi didn't know why she suddenly asked this question. She didn't mean anything else. She just felt a little lonely, especially when she was going far away. If there was a companion, it would be a lot more relaxing. She had almost no real friends except Lin Yi. Let's talk about it then. Lin Yi saw Sun Jingyi's loneliness, so he didn't directly refuse. Okay, that's a promise. You can't shirk it at that time. Sun Jingyi's eyes flashed a trace of slyness. When did I promise? Lin Yi was stunned. Then you didn't promise? Sun Jingyi asked back. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I'm afraid I won't have time. If I have time, I'll accompany you. Time's like it's just a squeeze, Jingyi said. Then squeeze for me? Lin Yi's eyes unconsciously moved to Sun Jingyi's collar. I don't need to squeeze, but if you want to see. Not now. I'll show you when you become an official lover. Sun Jingyi said. Then I won't look. I have a big chest at home, I can look anytime. Lin Yi said. Pervert. Sun Jingyi said. Me? Pervert? Lin Yi pointed at his nose, not sure if he should laugh or cry. This was the first time someone called him a pervert. He didn't seem to be very perverted. After lunch, Lin Yi returned to House Chu's villa. While Yuqian, Lingshan, and Qintian were getting ready, he started practicing the technique Faubert gave him. At the same time, the heads of the noble houses brought their disciples to Yanjing, where House Yu was, to attend the noble house meeting. Of course, the most active was House Kong. Chapter 1697. Dr. Kong had heard about what happened between House Song and House Chen. From what he could see, House Song might not be able to do much in this noble house meeting, but House Chen would definitely be removed from the list of noble houses. And so, Dr. Kong brought Kong Guifeng to Yanjing's House Yu as soon as he could, preparing to discuss the matter of becoming a noble house with House Yu. Becoming a member of a noble house had always been Dr. Kang's dream, and this was a chance for House Kong. Dr. Kong was determined to get it. In the reception hall of House Yu, Shueisheng received Dr. Kong and Kong Guifeng. This isn't the first time we've met, and I know why you two are here. Shueisheng looked at Dr. Kong and Kong Guifeng, not beating around the bush. But if you two want to become a noble house, shouldn't you show some sincerity? But naturally, we won't let House Yu help us for nothing. We, House Kong, will become the strongest supporter of House Yu in the future. Plus, our Dr. Kong Medical Group's sales network will be given to House Yu after the agency contract expires. Kong Guifeng said. This was the chip he'd thought of a long time ago, and it was the only chip House Kong could take out right now. But isn't it a bit too little? Shueisheng said. Mr. Kong's support is just empty words. As for the sales network, as far as I know, with Miracle Dr. Guan's company's competition, your company's sales have been declining. I don't think there's much profit to be made, right? That? Kong Guifeng's face reddened. Indeed, what Shueisheng said was Kong Guifeng's weakness, but House Kong didn't have many chips. With Miracle Dr. Guan's company's competition, House Kong was no longer the same as before. They didn't have money and they didn't have good products. Even if House Kong became a noble house, they wouldn't have the advantage they had at the auction. Ahem. Dr. Kong was an old fox. He coughed and lowered his voice. Since House Yu says so, then I'll give you a piece of news. But since House Kong wants to become a strong supporter of House Yu, then Mr. Yu, please don't betray us. Oh? What is it? Shueisheng's interest was piqued by Dr. Kang's mysterious words. Recently, House Kong has been researching the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, and I believe we'll have progress very soon. Once we succeed, then House Kang's position. I'm sure you understand, House Yu. Dr. Kong said. I can guarantee that all the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing made in the future will be given to House Yu first. What do you think of this bargaining chip, House Yu? So you're saying that it's not done yet? Shueisheng was quite cool. He didn't let Dr. Kang's words get to his head. Naturally. It's not that difficult, but it takes a lot of effort. Dr. Kong didn't hide anything. House Yu, you should know that we're the ones asking you to work with us now, but once the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing is made, it'll be the other noble houses that come looking for us. Shueisheng wasn't an idiot. He understood what Miracle Dr. Kong was saying, but this was a gamble. House Kong was researching the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, but how confident they were and whether or not they'd succeed was still unknown. Of course, Shueisheng understood that House Kong was more eager to research the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing than he was, and that the news wasn't necessarily made up. House Kong was currently under the influence of Miracle Dr. Guan's company, and was in a slump. If they didn't have a hit product, they wouldn't be able to hold on for long even if they became a noble house. This time, however, House Chen's removal from the noble house list was irreversible. Even if House Chen had a fake marriage with the ancient sect, it wouldn't stop Shueishing from making a move. Yu Feng had caused trouble this time, and House Yu would be in the wrong if they didn't get rid of him. It'd be better for them to just kill House Chen so that they wouldn't be able to rise again. As for House Song, Shueishing would have to see Xiangwen's attitude. If he was willing to marry Lingshan to him, then he'd pretend that nothing had happened. If not, then House Song would be in danger. As for House Wu and House Lu, while House Wu had news of Wu Qintian being crippled, and House Lu didn't have any practitioners, they were still related by marriage. Shueishing didn't want to touch them this time in case he caused a backlash. Plus, with so many empty seats, it wouldn't be easy to replace them with other noble houses. If there were too many empty seats, the position of a noble house wouldn't be valuable anymore. Only by having 1 or 2 empty seats every time could the qualified houses fight for it, and it would also highlight the importance of House Yu. Looking at the current situation, House Kong seemed to be a suitable candidate, and they'd even made a friendly gesture. After a moment of contemplation, Shueishing nodded. "Alright, then I'll help House Kong become a noble house this time, but I'll have to warn you up front. If you don't have a worthy product for a long time, then House Kang's future will be a bit worrying." "We understand that, of course." Dr. Kong nodded. "We'll do our best." "Alright, the noble house meeting. You guys come as well and cooperate with me when necessary. I'll remove House Chen from the noble house list and let you replace them," Shueishing said. "Alright, I understand. Don't worry, House Yu will follow your footsteps," Kong Guifeng said quickly. "Alright, see you then," Shueishing said as he picked up his teacup. Dr. Kong and Kong Guifeng, on the other hand, weren't blind people. They knew that Shueishing was sending them off and quickly stood up. "Then we won't disturb you any further, House Yu. We'll be on time for the noble house meeting. And Lil Feng, send House Kong off for me," Shueishing said to Yu Feng, who was standing behind him. "Elder Kong, Mr. Kong, please," Yu Feng said politely to Dr. Kong, but his mind was on Lingshan. He didn't know if Elder Song Xiangwen had made a decision yet. Yu Feng was like that. The more he couldn't get his hands on something, the more he wanted to get his hands on her. It wasn't that Lingshan was the most beautiful person in the noble houses. There were girls with similar looks and backgrounds as her, such as House Lu's Lu Jinghan and House Sun's Sun Jingyi. Of course, there were a few girls who weren't as pretty, but were still from noble houses. But after seeing Lingshan, Yu Feng felt a sense of conquering. The more she refused, the more he wanted to get his hands on her. Chapter 1698. Yu Feng, as the son of House Yu, the oldest of the noble houses, had a sense of superiority in his heart. He'd seen all kinds of women, and there were plenty who threw themselves at him, but none like Lingshan, who didn't care at all. Yu Feng didn't believe that he couldn't deal with Lingshan. Yu Feng only hurried back to the guest room after sending the two to the door of House Yu. "They're gone?" Shueishing asked. "Yeah, they're gone. I told Yu Haitian to send someone to follow them and see what they've been up to these 2 days," Yu Feng said. Shueishing nodded. He'd already agreed to let House Kong become a noble house, but he still wasn't at ease with House Kong. As a result, he told Yu Feng to send someone to follow Dr. Kong and Kong Guifeng to see if they were playing any tricks. After leaving House Yu, Miracle Dr. Kong said to Guifeng impatiently, "Guifeng, you need to give Xiaoming a call and tell him to get the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing recipe from Miracle Dr. Guan's company as soon as possible. We don't have much time left, and although the promotion to a noble house went rather smoothly, House Yu won't let a powerless house like us take the position of a noble house forever." "Yes, Father, I'll call Xiaoming right now." Kong Guifeng wasn't feeling too good either. Recently, Dr. Kong seemed to have taken a liking to Kong Mingming. If Kong Mingming really got the recipe, then Kong Ming would definitely become the next head of House Kong, and his son Xiaolong would be in danger. But Kong Guifeng didn't have a choice. Becoming a noble house had to be stronger than the current House Kong. Even if Xiaolong couldn't become the head of the house, his position would be much better than it was now. This was the benefit of being a noble house. Dr. Kong and Kong Guifeng weren't there, and their conversation was heard by Yu Haitian's men. House Yu only had Shueishing and Yu Feng left, along with the half-dead Yu Kuan. House Yu still had a few others, and while they weren't strong, they were more than enough to follow House Kong. And so, at the same time, the conversation between the father and son was heard by Shueishing as well. "It seems like they're after the recipe," Shueishing said. But no matter what, as long as they get the recipe it's fine. As for where they get it from, it has nothing to do with us. Father. About House Song Lingshan. Yufeng asked, unwilling to give up. I've already pressured that old thing Song Xiangwen. I'll bring it up again during the meeting, and if that old thing doesn't know what's good for him, then we'll just kick him out. Shuixing was pissed at the mention of Xiangwen. He'd agreed to it, and now something happened to his granddaughter. Shuixing felt like he'd lost a lot of face. Thank you, father. Yufeng was overjoyed. The meeting of the noble houses, while some were happy and some were sad, was still held as promised. The so-called noble house meeting wasn't a big one. Only the heads of the 9 noble houses brought their younger generation to the meeting room of House Yu's auction house. Of course, other than the 9 noble houses there was another house, House Kong. Other people were surprised, but when the old man of the Qin family and the old man of the Song family saw this situation, their hearts thumped. The hint was self-evident. The Kong family could participate in this meeting of the aristocratic families, which meant that the Kong family was likely to become a member of the aristocratic families. If the total number of noble houses increased by 1, then it'd be fine, but if it didn't change then one of the noble houses would have to be purged. According to the agreement between the noble houses, it was better to have none than to have substandard members. So, those who didn't have the qualifications would definitely be purged from the noble house list. Sitting at the head of the meeting room was Yu Shuixing, and behind him was Yu Feng. As the leader of the noble house meeting, it was normal for House Yu to sit at the head of the table. The younger generation was only here to gain experience, so naturally they wouldn't sit down. House Lu's old man Lu Jianghu, House Wu's old man Wu Gonggao, House Yang's old man Yang Daocha, House Song's old man Song Xiangwen, House Sun's old man Chen Quanglan, House An's old man and Mingyue, House Zhao's current head Xiao Ji, and standing behind him was his brother Xiao Ben. They didn't bring Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao. The only ones who stood out were House Kang's Dr. Kong and Kong Greifeng. They were sitting at the end, but the rankings would probably be rearranged after the meeting. Everyone's here, we're all old acquaintances, so I won't say much. Shuixing made a gesture for silence, speaking slowly. The noble house meeting is a rule that has been in place for many years, and I'm sure you all understand that the first part of the meeting is to rank the nobles and the nobles. This is a rule that hasn't changed since time immemorial, and the ranking of the noble houses is based on their wealth and the strength of their members, as well as the background of the noble houses. Everyone knew this rule, but the ranking was usually made up of the 4 strongest noble houses and the 5 weaker ones. This was the so-called 4 big noble houses and 5 small noble houses, but there was no specific ranking. Of course, House Yu, who was the strongest overall, was still the leader. The first part was enough to make Elder Qin Quanglan feel sorrowful. House Qin had a huge advantage in this meeting, with Qin Yu Qin becoming a mystic early phase. Add that marriage with House Qin, and there shouldn't be a problem for them to be in the 4 big noble houses. But because of Qin Yu Qian's meddling, he was beaten into a cripple. House Qin was done for this time, and they probably wouldn't even have a place in the 5 small noble houses. The second part is to clean up the grudges. If you have any conflicts, you can speak up, and I and the others will help you mediate. If you can't, then we'll use the old rule, force. Of course, if you give up the right to pursue the matter, then you can't use the old grudges to talk about it anymore. This has always been the rule of us noble houses. Everyone's goal is to earn more money and more time. If we always waste our time and energy on grudges, I'm afraid no one wants to see that. Yu Shuixing continued, glancing at Elder Qin Quanglan as he spoke. Chapter 1699. Everyone nodded after hearing Shuixing's words. Only House Chen's Qin Quanglan and House Song's Song Xiangwen felt sorrow. It seemed like House Yu was going to use them as an example. The other houses, on the other hand, didn't have much of a grudge against each other. They were all noble houses after all, and they all gave each other some face. Plus, there were marriages within the houses, so there wasn't much conflict. They all put on innocent and kind expressions. Only Jiang Wen stood behind his father and Mingyue, squinting his eyes at everyone like a wolf looking for its prey. House An wasn't weak. They didn't have any practitioners, but they had a lot of money, and they had the support of the firewolves. There was no doubt that they'd be able to maintain their position as one of the 5 small noble houses. But Jiang Wen didn't seem to care about all this. In his eyes, these noble houses were all his targets, fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered. Jiang Wen's ambition had grown to the extreme, and with the professor's support, he didn't care about the normal noble houses anymore. Of course, even House Yu didn't know that the Firewolf gang was just a cover. Behind the Firewolf gang there was a huge backer. The professor was here to help Jiang Wen earn money, but in reality, Some of the results of his research were for the backer behind the Firewolf gang. As for the money he earned, the backer didn't really care about it, so he left it for the Firewolf gang to develop themselves. Jianghu himself wasn't too clear on this, but he knew one thing. Once the professor could create a medicine that could maintain the mystic class for a long time, he'd be able to make his move on the noble houses. Regrettably though, that medicine couldn't be given to him, or he'd get a taste of what it felt like to be a master. The third round is the sparring between the younger generation. House Yu, on the other hand, has prepared some medicine for the winner of this sparring competition, a small qi-gathering pill from the hidden House Yu. I'm sure you've all heard of it, it's a great medicine for increasing strength. Shuixing said. Wadash, everyone revealed looks of envy and greed when they heard that the prize was a lesser qi-gathering pill, but they all knew that House Yu's Yufeng was the strongest amongst the younger generation, and no one else could fight him. So, rather than saying that this prize was a prize, it was more accurate to say that House Yu took it out to show off. After all, in a sparring match, Yufeng would be the winner no matter what, and this pill was still his. Therefore, after the surprise and envy, everyone calmed down. They didn't need to think too much about things that didn't belong to them. How could something in House Yu's hands be so easily obtained? Since no one has any questions, let's move on to the first part. Each house, report your income from last year, as well as the strength of your practitioners. Do you have any backers? Shuixing said. House Yu, I don't need to talk about it. Just the income from this auction house alone is enough to cover the income of a few of your families. As for our strength, there's no need to talk about it. I'm a mystic late phase peak. Yufeng was at the middle phase of the mystic class. And our House Yu's backing is the hidden House Yu. Shuixing said that there was no need to talk about it, but he still gave a detailed description of House Yu's strength. Indeed, House Yu's strength was the strongest amongst all the noble houses. Our Shao family didn't have much income last year, but we've received a few big deals recently. Next year we'll probably get a few billion, of course, including our fixed assets. Shao Ji said proudly. Our Shao family doesn't have any practitioners at the moment, but our backer, the hidden House Pai, has said that he'll guide my son and nephew in training. The Shao family's situation made everyone gasp. They were a family that didn't receive much attention at the auction, and now they'd become famous all of a sudden. It seemed that having the support of a hidden house was indeed different. It wouldn't be long before Shao family would be on the same level as House Yu. Other than House Yu, the Shao family had the biggest backing, so it was normal for Shao family to speak up first. Of course, the firewolves behind House An weren't weak either, but Mingyue was a low-profile person, especially since he and the firewolves were involved in some illegal dealings. It was best not to speak too much. Our House Lu's fixed assets increased by around 3 billion last year. As for practitioners, we don't have any yet, Jianghu said. With House Lu's strength, it wouldn't be a problem for them to keep their position, but they'd definitely become one of the 5 small noble houses. I'm a mystic middle phase, and while our House Wu's business isn't that big, we still have a few billion worth of assets. Gonggao felt sorrowful as well. If Qintian hadn't died, House Wu would definitely be second only to the Shao family, but now, it was hard to say whether or not they could enter the ranks of the 4 big noble houses. House Yu's position as one of the 4 big noble houses was already set in stone, and Shao family had the intention of catching up to them. They'd definitely become one of the 4 big noble houses. As for House Sun, while they were a healer family, their position was special. As long as Elder Sun was still alive, House Sun would definitely be one of the 4 big noble houses. As for the last spot, Gonggao felt that he might not be able to fight for it. House An wasn't weak either. Not only did they have the support of the firewolves, but they were also very rich. Before, House An didn't have much money, but with the support of the firewolves, they became the leader of the 5 small noble houses. Now they'd probably enter the ranks of the 4 big noble houses. Of course, taking a step back, even if House An gave up on this position, if House Song agreed to the marriage with House Yu, then House Yu would definitely give House Song a spot as one of the 4 great houses. This way House Wu would have no hope at all. One had to know that although the 4 great aristocratic families and the 5 small aristocratic families were all aristocratic families, there was a huge difference in their levels. The Wu family was definitely not as glorious as before. After that, the other houses reported their strength as well. When it was Elder Chen's turn, Qin Kuanglan thought of her injured grandson, Qin Yutian, and her heart ached. She sighed helplessly. House Qin doesn't have any properties. Qin Yutian used to be a mystic early phase, but he was crippled. Now he only has the support of an ancient sect. Ancient sect? Which ancient sect? Dr. Kong spoke up before Shuixing and the others could speak. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qitian and recommend it. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1700. Qin Kuanglan frowned. He knew that House Kong was up to no good. It seemed like they'd planned this from the start. The ancient sect's engagement was a top secret, and Qin Kuanglan couldn't just say which sect it was. The ancient sect didn't allow him to say it either. Plus, it had been so long and there was no news at all. This was basically a lost cause, and Qin Kuanglan didn't expect this to be a bargaining chip for House Qin. He'd lost all hope before coming here, so he wasn't surprised at all. He looked at Dr. Kong. You can pretend it's nothing. House Qin has no money, no background, and no practitioners. House head you, how can a house like this become a noble house? Isn't that a little weird? Miracle, Dr. Kong asked, a little surprised. Chino pop-up window in. We're just calculating the strength of each house, we'll talk about other things later. Shueishing nodded, but the meaning behind his words was clear to everyone. Now it's time for everyone to settle their grudges. Do you guys have any grudges? Can you bring them up? What grudges did these people have? So when Shueishing asked the question, everyone's eyes focused on Elder Qin Kuanglan. What happened these days wasn't a secret. Everyone knew what happened between House Yu and House Qin. In fact, House Qin could be considered the victim, but there was nothing they could do. Whoever was stronger was in the right. House Yu was clearly bullying House Qin, and House Qin couldn't do anything about it. Since no one's talking, then we'll start with House Yu. Shueishing turned to Qin Kuanglan faintly. Elder Qin, your Qin Yu Qin is meddling in my son and his girlfriend's business for no reason at all. What's going on? There's always a reason to frame someone. Qin Kuanglan was going all out. There was no chance for him to turn the situation around anymore, but he had to make things clear before leaving the noble house meeting, right? He was weak, and House Qin had no money, no practitioners, and no back. He could give up on the title of a noble house, but he couldn't allow himself to be wronged. And so Qin Kuanglan had to make things clear. Lingshan isn't your son's girlfriend, is she? This was something Lingshan had never admitted to. How was this interfering? Plus, there's nothing between my grandson and Lingshan, there's nothing between them. Your son hurt my grandson for no reason at all. Shouldn't you give us an explanation for this, House Yu? Give you an explanation? Old thing, have you gone senile? Shueishing didn't say anything, but Dr. Kong spoke up first, pointing at Qin Kuanglan. Even I, who's not from a noble house, have heard of Yu Feng and Lingshan's marriage. How could you not have? Are you bullshitting me? Dr. Kang's words made Qin Kuanglan's veins bulge. This Dr. Kong and Shueishing were working together, obviously trying to cause trouble for her. Patriarch Qin, how do you explain this? Let's talk about the facts. It's true that your Qin Yu Qin interfered and caused a rift between my son and Lingshan. You have to give us an explanation for this, don't you? Shueishing thought that this Dr. Kong wasn't a bad person after all. He knew how to play along and let House Qin take a bite out of him. I give you an explanation? Qin Kuanglan clenched her fists and glared at Shueishing, her heart filled with sorrow. She was the victim here, but it was like House Yu was the one who'd suffered a huge loss. What? Elder Qin doesn't want to follow the rules of a noble house? Shueishing asked faintly. Patriarch Qin, in order to regain my face, I'm prepared to challenge your Qin Yu Tian. Of course, anyone from House Qin can take his place. Elder Qin, you can do it yourself too. I won't say that you're bullying the weak. Ah. Yu Feng followed Shueishing's words with a smile. You dash. Qin Kuanglan's heart was filled with humiliation. She stood up abruptly, her eyes red as she glared at Shueishing and Yu Feng. House Yu, don't go too far. Aren't you ashamed to act like a victim? Do you think I don't know what you're trying to achieve? Elder Qin, what do you mean by this? Everything is being done according to the rules of a noble house. If you think that we're bullying you, then you can bring it up and challenge us. Shueishing said faintly. Challenge me or challenge Yu Feng, it's all fine. You? Qin Kuanglan clutched his chest, almost coughing up blood. House Qin didn't have any practitioners, so how could they be a match for House Yu? Wasn't challenging them the same as committing suicide? Qin Kuanglan was prepared to be kicked out of the noble house ranks, but he couldn't keep his cool after being humiliated like this by House Yu. House Yu had gone too far, acting like a victim when they got the advantage. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You want me to leave the noble house ranks, right? I'll leave, you don't have to say so much. This was supposed to be a meeting of 9 noble houses, and now there's a House Kong. Shueishing, you think I don't know what you're planning? Do you think I don't know what you're trying to do with me? I'll be leaving the noble house myself this time, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Qin Kuanglan smiled bitterly as he looked around at everyone. No one was speaking up for him. Everyone knew that House Yu was twisting the facts, But who would dare speak up for House Qin? Qin Kuanglan's gaze finally landed on Song Xiangwen. Yu Tian was injured because of Lingshan, and if Xiangwen didn't speak up now, it'd be too much. But Xiangwen couldn't even protect himself right now, and as apologetic as he was, he didn't dare speak up. Old friend, don't get too worked up, let's sit down and talk. Yeah, could it be that old man Qin thinks that by withdrawing from the ranks of the aristocratic families, everything will be fine? Shuixing followed up. Before you leave the noble house ranks, you need to give me an explanation, right? Qin Kuanglan was shaking with rage. He never would have thought that Shuixing would be this shameless. He'd already made such a huge concession, but Shuixing was still pushing it. This made Elder Chen's chest heave up and down, even his breathing was uneven. Target equals underscore blank. Chapter 1701. Kuanglan let out a long breath and pointed at Shuixing, raging, Shuixing, don't go too far. I've already left the noble house list, what else do you want from me? Do you want me to give up my life here as an apology? That's right, house head you, Elder Qin is an old acquaintance of ours, let's just let this go and let him leave peacefully. Elder Song Xiangwen couldn't help but speak up. No pop-up window Chi house head Song, we're talking about the grudge between House Yu and House Qin. We haven't even settled our score yet, and you still want to stand up for someone else? Shuixing looked at Xiangwen, his voice dark. Your house Song broke the engagement, don't you want to give us an explanation? Xiangwen didn't think that his words for House Chen would cause Shuixing to point the spear at him. He could only look at Kuanglan apologetically, avoiding eye contact. House Song can't say that we broke the engagement, but the two kids don't seem to be getting along very well. I only said that they'd get along for a while, I didn't say that they had to be together. Let's not talk about you for now, we'll talk about House Chen later. Shuixing's words extinguished Xiangwen's fire. He turned back to Kuanglan, you're leaving the noble house list, that's for sure, but it doesn't mean that it'll be fine. House Yu's reputation has been damaged, you should at least show some sincerity to compensate us, right? House Yu, aren't you being a little unreasonable here? House Yu is the head of the noble houses and we should be a role model. You should be more generous, don't you think it's a little inappropriate for you to push an old man like this? It was Sunny Kai who spoke up. He was a straightforward person, always wanting to stick his nose into things that were unfair. He knew that it wasn't his place to speak, but he couldn't help but speak up anyway. Househead son, it seems that your upbringing isn't that great? Didn't you tell him about the rules of the noble house meeting? The young ones are only here to learn, they don't have the right to speak. Shuixing looked at Ikai darkly as he spoke to Elder Sunday. Ahem Ikai, don't talk nonsense. Old man Sun looked at his grandson awkwardly. He also knew his grandson's character. He was the kind of chivalrous person who would stand up for injustice. However, on this occasion with the Sun family's identity, it was impossible for them to speak up for the Qin family. Grandpa, I'm not spouting nonsense. I'm just stating a fact. Justice is in everyone's heart. Now everyone can see that the Qin family has fallen. Just let them withdraw quietly. Why do we have to make things difficult for them? Sunny Kai was stubborn. He raised his head and said stubbornly, is everyone mute? Your silence today may bring about the same outcome as the Qin family tomorrow. Who can guarantee that their family will not decline like the Qin family in the future? Sunny Kai's words were right in the hearts of all the aristocratic families. Sunny Kai was right. This time it was the Qin family, next time it might be their family. This was especially true for the weaker families such as the current Lu family. Sunny Kai, do you have the right to speak here? The juniors should have the rules of the juniors. Could it be that House Sun thinks that you're strong enough, stronger than House Yu, that you can replace House Yu? Qingdi spoke up at this moment. He was speaking for House Yu. After all, House Wu and House Sun were no longer connected by marriage. He wasn't afraid of offending House Sunday. Instead, saying something like that would please House Yu, so why not? However, he didn't think that his words would backfire on him. He said that House Yu was strong, didn't that mean that House Yu was bullying others? If House Sun was stronger than House Yu, then wouldn't House Yu be in the wrong? And so, this flattery really pissed Shuixing off. He was pushing them step by step, but he was just pointing at them and saying that he was in the right. Now that Qingdi said it, it sounded like he was bullying others. Head Wu, you should take care of your grandson. It's not good to stick your nose in other people's business. Wu Qintian was crippled because of it, don't let your grandson become crippled as well. Shuixing warned faintly. Gong Gao was a smart man, and he felt that Qingdi's words weren't very appropriate. Weren't you saying that House Yu was bullying others? How could they be happy? The noble houses had to at least keep up appearances, and if you continued like this, wouldn't House Yu be embarrassed? But Shuixing's words hit Gong Gao's sore spot. Qin Tian was his favorite and he was being used as a scapegoat. Gong Gao was furious. Head Yu, what do you mean by that? What's wrong with my grandson? He's just a little injured, he's not crippled, is he? Is this a curse? Crippled or not, you know it yourself. Shuixing wasn't afraid of Gong Gao. What, Head Wu, you're not happy? Then in the third segment, you can let your grandson Qin Tian come up and spar with him. If he defeats my son Yu Feng, then facts will speak louder than words. You? Gong Gao's weakness was hit, but he couldn't rebuke. If he agreed, wouldn't that be sending Qin Tian to his death? Even Qin Tian wasn't a match for Yu Feng, they were a whole level apart. And so, Gong Gao could only keep his head down and keep quiet, sulking. Alright, House Head Qin, look, no one's standing up for you now, and they all think that you should show some sincerity and compensation. Shuixing turned his attention back to Kuanglan after dealing with the crowd. What sincerity? What compensation? Kuanglan suppressed her anger and asked, her hand on her chest. I won't ask for much. Your House Chen's villa in Yanjing, give it to us. From now on, House Chen will move out of Yanjing and don't let me see you again. Shuixing said coldly. Otherwise, don't blame me for remembering what happened back then. You. Kuanglan almost fainted from the anger. House Chen had lived in this villa for so many years, and now he was telling him to give it up and leave Yanjing, never to appear in front of House Yu again? Me what? If it weren't for the fact that House Chen doesn't have that much money, I wouldn't have taken out $1 billion or so. Do you think this will be settled so easily? Shuixing said faintly. Shuixing, I don't know if you've heard of this saying, the river flows 30 years east and 30 years west. Prosperity and decline are ever changing. Qin Kuanglan was so angry that he calmed down. He pointed at Yu Shuixing and said word by word, Yu Shuixing, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't be too ruthless. Your House Yu will meet its end sooner or later. Chapter 1702. 30 years? Ah. Old thing, it's a question if you'll even live past 30 years. Shuixing laughed heartily, not taking Kuanglan's words seriously at all. Alright, I'll wait and see if this day will come for House Yu. No need to wait, 30 years is too long. The door of the conference room was kicked open, and a voice as cold as hell rang in everyone's ears. Although it was low, it was mixed with thick true energy, causing everyone's eardrums to buzz, giving them a kind of deafening feeling. The door of the meeting room turned into a pile of wood shavings, not a single piece was intact. Everyone in the meeting room jumped in fright. They never thought that someone would dare come at a time like this. One had to know that the Noble House meeting was a meeting of the strongest practitioners in the common world. The wood shavings slowly dispersed, and 5 people appeared in front of the meeting room. Linny stood in the middle. He was the one who broke the meeting room's door and he was the one who said those words. There were 4 people behind him. 2 were standing and 2 were sitting. Yushu and Lingshan were standing, and Yuqian and Wu Qintian were sitting. Yuqian and Qintian were in wheelchairs, pushed by Yushu and Lingshan as they followed Lin Yi into the meeting room. Lin Yi! Shuixing couldn't be more familiar with this Lin Yi person. The first time he met him was when he was with Xu Emin, and Shuixing didn't pay much attention to him back then. But after a series of events, Lin Yi became House Yu's mortal enemy. Didn't you want to see if this day would come for House Yu? Then you don't have to wait, you'll see it now. Lin Yi looked around the room, his eyes landing on Sun Yikai and Sun Jingyi. He smiled and nodded at them before turning to Jianghu. No pop-up window in the conference room, there were only a few acquaintances. Lin Yi didn't have any personal relationships with the others, so he naturally wouldn't greet them. When Sun Jingyi first arrived at the conference room, she was wondering why Lin Yi wasn't here. Wasn't he here with Qintian? But all he saw was Gong Gao and Qindi, not Qintian and Lin Yi. At this time, the aristocratic family's meeting had already begun, so she had no way to call Lin Yi again. After that, House Yu attacked House Qin right away, giving him no chance to talk to his grandpa. He didn't think that Lin Yi would show up at the Noble House meeting like this. Is he here to participate in the aristocratic family gathering? This was practically a show of force. Lin Yi, I didn't even have the time to find trouble with you. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me. Do you really think that we, the common world House Yu, can't do anything to you? Shuixing looked at Lin Yi, his eyes filled with rage. What a joke, I thought you brought some helpers but you brought 2 handicaps, a normal person and a mystic early phase Lingshan. How childish. Yu Feng's strength wasn't as high as Lin Yi's, and it was because of Yu Feng that Lin Yi got into trouble, so he told Yu Feng to retreat first. He himself was busy with the Noble House meeting, so he didn't have the time to look for trouble with Lin Yi. But this Lin Yi came knocking on his door. Did he really think that he was invincible as a mystic mid-phase peak? Shill bro, how did this guy become the head of House Yu? Why is he so similar to us? We're here to cause trouble and he's not afraid at all. So what if my brother is handicapped? He can still take revenge. Yushu closed her mouth subconsciously after saying the word. She only breathed out in relief after realizing that Mengyao wasn't there. Otherwise, she'd tell Yushu not to curse or she'd tear her mouth apart. I don't know, but there's only 2 normal people left in their house. That Xie Yufeng is even more of a weakling and he's standing out. Lin Yi said. Oh, I see. Yushu nodded. Prophet Shu, your House Yu is done for. The sudden appearance of Lin Yi's group stunned everyone in the meeting room. They didn't know what was going on. Especially Elder Qin Kuanglan, he didn't understand, why would the granddaughter bring her grandson here? Wasn't this just looking to die? Old Song Xiangwen, on the other hand, was a little pissed off as well. It was fine that Lingshan didn't want to marry Yu Feng, but now she was messing around with House Yu's enemies. What was House Song going to do now? Elder Wu Gonggao, on the other hand, didn't understand the situation. Chen Tian said that he had Lin Yi as his boss, and now Lin Yi brought 2 handicapped people to cause trouble? What was going on? Grandpa, hurry up and announce that we're not related to Chen Tian anymore. Isn't he harming us? Chindi lowered his voice and said to Gonggao. Gonggao looked at Chindi coldly and didn't say anything. It wasn't that he didn't understand, but he couldn't do something like that. Chintan was his grandson. Grandpa, I'm sorry for making you worry, but I did say that I'll be your pride. Chintian saw through Gonggao's confusion and comforted him. Over at House Sun, Ikai lowered his head and said to Elder Sun, Grandpa, he's my sister's boyfriend, my brother-in-law? Eh? Elder Sun thought that his ears were damaged and he didn't hear it clearly. Ikai, what did you say? Grandpa, the boyfriend I was talking about. It's actually him. He's here. Sun Jingyi said helplessly, thinking that this Lin Yi was really something. It was fine if he didn't come, but when he did, he caused such a huge commotion. Elder Sun almost had a heart attack after hearing that. Why was Sun Jingyi's boyfriend here to cause trouble? How could this be? If House Yu found out about this, wouldn't House Sun be in trouble? Elder Sun coughed twice and was about to tell Sun Jingyi not to say anything and not to recognize him, but someone else came to recognize Lin Yi first. The talented lady of the Lu family, Lu Jinghan, had also come. Her face was covered with a veil. She did not want others to know her true appearance. She had been hiding behind the scenes of the Lu family. Even the people of the other aristocratic families did not know what Lu Jinghan looked like. However, the other aristocratic families did not care about her mystery. Even if she was as beautiful as a goddess, she wasn't a practitioner. The temptation of a beauty wasn't as strong as the strength of a practitioner. Jing, what do we do? Lu Tianyi stood behind Lu Jianghu and asked Lu Jinghan in a low voice.